Can I get YouTube pulled up to see the comments? I guess I can pull it up on my phone. Maybe.
Yes, you can pull it up on your phone. Yes, it gets kind of wild. Weird. By the way, like
I'll try not to let it distract me.
Like, yeah, that's why like half the time I end up being the chat person and he's talking more than me because it just it gets.
They just fight. They all know each other, but they still fight amongst all of each other. So
now they're gonna be hating on ball pythons in our little tubs.
We have some that have ball pythons. So
yeah, most of them have ball pythons.
Right.
But I mean, it's most likely not the snake stuff. It's the non-snake stuff you have to worry about with these kids on here.
Yeah. Okay. We have 2 viewers.
Hello. You got YouTube up?
Yes.
All
okay.
right, sweet.
Also, can you see the chats that have already come in on there?
I'll give you a quick rundown. Here before Asian bitch Rebecca. That's a good one.
Okay. Awesome.
That's
reading
people.
they start off very intense on those chats.
I'm gonna start for real.
Yeah,
though.
go for it.
So, woo, from the ground up, number 50. This is my second podcast today.
Yes. Okay.
So from the ground up, number 52 or 53 or 54, somewhere in there. Today, I need to tell you a few things first before we get started. Southeast Carpet Fest. I just had a conversation with Dave Palumbo earlier today. I'm going to post that up as a mini podcast episode and put it out probably the 7th. And it's basically explaining all of Southeast Carpet Fest and gets a little bit into his story as far as going from pro bodybuilder to liking reptiles and holding Southeast Carpet Fest. And then also we have Southern Carpet Fest, which is going to be here, hosted by the Ivory Connection, Ryan Sullivan. I believe it's going to be first weekend in May. If you need to ask questions, you can probably contact me or Evan, aka Ice Cube, for the podcast folks
AKA
out there.
Carpet Cartel.
AKA Carpet Cartel, AKA the Dart Frog aficionado fruit fly breeder of the year.
Okay.
Getting into breeders of the year nominations on the Reptile Reporter up. We are up for video show of the year. And then also put in the back of your head, the Ball Pythons 101 podcast will be up for radio show of the year next year. So that's just a precursor to what we'll get into.
Thank you.
So yeah, go vote for us for video show of the year, Portcitypythons. Tell your friends. This is totally shameless plug.
Well, we need to plug more though, because we have the shirts. I think we're gonna put up a giveaway.
We're going to do a giveaway, but buy our shirts. Anyway,
if you want to support the podcast, buy our shirts. Thank you to all the people who have bought shirts.
Yes. Okay. Do a beer plug. Everyone always asks us what beer we're drinking.
Oh, we also need to plug this person because Neil, who came over our house, actually, he has a young daughter who he showed around and played with a bunch of snakes and hung out. And she gave me she drew a picture of a ball python.
Yes.
So we will.
And his thank you to us was beer.
So I'm drinking Deep Ellum IPA.
What do you?
Oh, this is a local Texas beer out of the neighborhood Deep Ellum in Dallas, Texas.
And I changed it up. I'm actually drinking wine today. Good old $2 Chuck.
And I should, before I ask them what they're drinking, we are talking to Chris Senior and Junior Searcy from Ball Pythons 101 and Rats 101 on Instagram. What's up, guys? What are you guys drinking over there?
Hey, how's it going? I am drinking some wine as well tonight. We'll carry on. There was actually a headline today that came out that said 2.5 glasses of wine has been known to actually remove toxins in your brain and clean your brain. So I'm on that.
I'll go for that.
I don't know.
What? That face.
You're drinking it.
The Miller Lite tonight.
There you go. It's a classic. I mean, if the wine scrubs your brain, you'd be an interesting study.
Excuse me?
Oh, I don't know what we're talking about. So Chris Jr. and Senior, who came first as far as reptiles?
I was actually kind of thinking about that. I knew this question would come. And I kind of got an insight the other day because honestly, we haven't had reptiles in our family for too long. This current business is going to have its 4th year anniversary on February 20th of this year. And I was kind of thinking about childhood the other day, and I do remember we used to actually catch a lot of frogs growing up, didn't we? And we would keep them in styrofoam coolers out on the porch. Maybe you would let me keep them a couple days, and then we would release them.
Yeah, frogs. I mean, insects. You were always catching stuff.
Yeah, and one of my favorite pastimes was nightcrawler hunting with Pops. Actually, we would water the lawn if it was dry, and that would bring nightcrawlers out, and then we would go out and we would catch nightcrawlers for fishing. That's not reptile related, but
I don't know what a nightcrawler is.
Oh no.
a worm for fishing.
Okay.
One of the big worms.
Earthworm.
Gotcha.
But no, as far as reptiles goes, so I was working at Citibank in customer service on the phone, and one of my close friends there, he was sitting next to me and we were getting to know each other, and I was like, "Hey man, what you all about?" And he was like, "I keep reptiles, I keep snakes." He had some boas, had some ball pythons, and I was like, "Dude, show me some pictures." So he shows me this picture of this spider ball python, and I was just like, "Whoa, like that, it looks so different," and I was pretty amazed by it, and I was drawn in by it. So I went over his house, held the snakes, and I was like, "Dude, these are awesome!" Like, and then I ended up getting some ball pythons, basically.
Yeah, I mean, not for everyone does it start young. I mean, it doesn't have to be something like that, but I mean, just obviously a love stemmed from like a love of nature in general. So where does your dad come into the picture as far as the business goes, and how do you guys work together?
Well, I'm actually at home, so just to kind of little bit of a backstory, I guess, just to get a little personal per se, just to kind of fill it in, because I'm 31. Pops, what are you now? You
counting this year?
Counting this year, yes.
53.
He's 53. So I actually got divorced when I was 26, and believe it or not, the ex-wife actually would not allow me to have a snake. It was complete BS. So once that dissolved, then I actually got into the reptile seriously. And then I moved back in with the parents, and I'm actually currently here still. So for this to kind of blow up to what it has blown up to, he had to be involved basically. And I'll let you talk about that. I don't want to take that perspective away from you, but I had snakes, and then I actually had to get rid of them due to the living arrangement, because it just wasn't working, like in a small bedroom in the house, this and that.
And that was once you moved back home.
Right. Yeah. So, and I was crushed because, I had a killer bee and 6 normals or something like that. And I wanted to start breeding, have a little side hobby, just kind of restarting my life. And it just wasn't working out. So I actually had to get rid of the collection in 2013. And I remember I was following several different ball python and reptile social media pages, and just seeing that on a daily basis just was kind of like salt in the wound. So I actually unfollowed all the reptile pages for about a year, kind of got out of the game. And then I got back in 2014, and I remember thinking, I was like, if I get back in this, I want to do it how I really want to do it. And I want to turn this into a lifestyle, a business, and in the future, potentially, support myself off of it. Because, once I got later into my 20s, I had tried out many different hobbies, like, photography, painting, different types of jobs, went to college, and nothing really ever clicked with me. Nothing really ever was like, just relaxation where my passion was driven. I had the creative output. And when I got into the snakes, I felt that, and I was like, whoa, I was like, it just kind of clicked. And to be honest with you, before I even decided that I wanted to turn it into a business, I just wanted to have like 1 or 2 snakes. That's it. I didn't have no plans on turning it into like a huge business or anything like that. So it just kind of snowballed into that. So,
and like you were saying, how many snakes did you have when you was married at your other place? Like what, 3 or 4?
Yeah, maybe
2,
like
3.
6, something like that.
I can remember going over there one day, and Chris had just went out to the pet store, wherever you went, and got some feeder mice, some rats or something like that. And he put those in the tank, and it's like the snake just struck, boom, hit that thing so hard. And it was, to me, I was like, wow, that was just up close and personal to me.
Mhm.
I mean, I know snakes do that, of course, in the wild, but never actually witnessed it. Never had even witnessed a snake actually eating a rat. And that was pretty amazing to me. I remember that day when we was at your place. And then why I interrupt you was, so you had a few snakes when you was married.
Yeah. And tanks, had the red lights, all that, just not really educated at the time about it, proper husbandry and all that.
Right. And then you went through, it just didn't work out, which that's life. And then you got your divorce and you come back home with your snakes.
With the snakes, yes.
So Chris was here
in a cardboard box.
Exactly. With his snakes, and then I don't know. And, your mom.
Literally the only thing I had to my name at that time.
Yeah. So, and then you had the snakes in here, and then, I mean, it's like it just didn't work out too well. So you decided to go ahead and
I sold them. I posted on the ball python. I think it's BP forums, ball python forums, which, we can talk about that later. I'm actually planning on doing a big run on the forums. I'm going to get back into the forum game. But anyway,
was that
so
BP.net back in the day?
Yeah, I checked it out like the other week, and that forum is still popping, man. Like, I'm surprised. There's a lot of action there still.
So I never really asked you, once you got rid of your snakes from here, and there was a little time there, did you feel like a void?
Oh yeah, it was. I was just drowning. I couldn't stand it. I felt like the passion was just ripped away from me, man. And it was very gut wrenching for sure to get rid of my collection.
Because you had actually just had a bad car accident also.
Yeah, I had a bad car accident. It was just a rough. That was 2012, 2013. So anyway, so the year passed, and then I got kind of got my life stabilized, and I was like, hey, I want to get back into snakes, but it's not going to work, keeping them, in the small bedroom.
Right.
So at that point, I proposed kind of like to Pops what we were going to do as far as building a room inside the garage. And that's
you proposed what you wanted to do.
I proposed what I wanted to do. And I wasn't trying to take much. I was like, Pops, I need I think it was ridiculous. It was like a 5 foot by 8 foot space.
You wanted to build a shed first.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you wanted to build. You actually wanted me to help you build a shed out in the backyard, whatever it may be, an 8 by 8 or whatever, so you could house your snakes. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. I mean, are we doing this? We really doing this? And I went to your mom. And I was like, does he really want to do this? I tried to talk her out of it. And I guess you talked to her, and she's like, and then she came to me one day and she's like, you gonna help Chris build that shed? I'm like, he's serious about this, isn't he? And she's like, he is serious about this. He really wants to get snakes again. So then once that started turning in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna get on board with him with it, And then I came to you and I'm like, instead of building a shed, we got a really nice 2-car garage out here. That would be awesome. Let's just take a corner and let's see what we can do with it. Yeah. So then you had some wheels turning then.
Yeah, and this is like May 2014. So we spent the whole year of 2014 designing our facility, which can be seen on our Facebook page and YouTube videos. And it's just like a little 9 foot by 10.5 foot room with a little storage room on the side. We house about 150 ball pythons. We do keep the rats in a shed, and we kind of divvy out the responsibilities. We are a team. Pops is part business owner. I'm the primary investor, but due to using his space and obviously his services and helping, he is part business owner in that. So we have big plans moving forward to the future. I don't know if you want to jump into that yet or not, but that's kind of what Pops just got on board. Like, my parents, all my successes are definitely because of my parents. All my failures are on me. My parents have been nothing but supportive of me through, all of life's, trials and challenges. And I really owe it all to them just for backing me on everything and coming along for the ride. They've just adapted to the snake life. It is a lifestyle. I mean, everything that I do revolves around ball pythons 101. Right up until our call, I was in my DM answering questions. So it's just a complete lifestyle at this point, and I'm just really excited to see where it takes us over the next couple of years.
Right. So as far as the rats go, did that happen out of necessity or something that you wanted to add to your business?
I think it's kind of two parts, because I was making about a 2-hour round trip to pick up rats,
Right.
and that was just wearing on me, just driving after, because I also maintain 40-hour a week job as well as Pops, and just that 2-hour round trip plus the expense was wearing on us, and we just knew that the convenience of that. So we started a really small rat colony back in 2014, and to basically just feed our snakes. And just a year ago, we actually decided to turn that into part of our brand. Like, the rats used to be like quiet. So, and then I was like, hey, Pops, we got to get you involved on social media. I need you on here with me. I kind of like having a team, of close friends. Of course, Pops, just backing me on social media. And
you came to him and you're like, Instagram, you need to get Instagram going. I'm like, cool with that stuff. I got a little Facebook thing going here. That's just enough for me right now.
He's fresh on social media. He just kind of got on everything within the last couple of years. So,
and I mean, I appreciate that too, Chris. I mean, shoot, that's a nice suggestion you gave me, and I mean, it works out great. I just love learning all about it and everything. It's interesting.
Yeah, you've done well, for real. I mean, and I appreciate everything that you've done, Pops, as well.
I surprise myself sometimes. I mean, it's like kidding me.
but in the future, I'm a couple years out from probably buying some property, and I'm going to build some facilities on them, and I want to have a big rat retail business. That's the goal. That'll be joint with me and Pops, because hopefully in about 2 or 3 years, I would like to just be doing this as my primary career. And then I don't know, Pops might have to hold out for like 9 or 10 years to get his pension on his current. But,
I have 7.5 years left, and I'm done.
All right. So I'm just dedicated to the end on this, and I'm all in on everything.
Yeah, I think you have to be. There's too many people who dip their toe in, and then you see those people disappear in a few years or something like that. I mean, it's something that you really have to commit to. And it seems like you guys, have you meant to do like Pops' Rats 101 and you are Ball Pythons 101? Is that how you're trying to set up like your social media?
Yeah, I need to get access to your social media page so I can start sharing some of my stuff on there. He runs everything on that page, and he's I see him in his DM, working the DM on his spare time, and he's grinding out the stories. Honestly, at this point, we have so much momentum with social media being on our daily. I just can't imagine going a day without posting, because that's kind of how it is. You see so many breeders, they'll go 1 or 2 or 3 weeks without posting it. In the social media realm, you basically die. Like, people think you died or something if you're gone and they're out. So like, I'm scared to death to just go a day without even posting. And I've been posting like every single day for almost like 4 years straight now.
Wow.
And sometimes I'll skip a day. I'll skip maybe 1 day or 2 days.
And I get on him.
Yeah. He'll be like, Pops, you haven't posted in 2 days. I'm like, you're right. I need that. I'm going to go.
Your stories are always going.
Yeah. I like the stories. I like getting in there and doing some stories. People enjoy that.
Yeah, I just got into that myself. I didn't do much of that, but it's like so easy because we're doing the snake stuff anyway. Why not just make a little video, and people like actually interact with you on a different level than just your pictures and stuff like that. So I know I enjoy that. I enjoy watching your stories too.
And it's like you referenced earlier, like it really is even a lifestyle. Like this snake stuff, it's his passion. Like, it's been hit. Like I kind of just
it doesn't turn off ever.
But okay, can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. It's not even my passion, but it's literally something I think about from the second I wake up. Like when I wake up, I'm like, what picture are we going to post today? Like all day while I'm working. Like I have another job, but I'm thinking, okay, who's messaging us on Instagram like Matt right now? Like what can we do? How can we reach out to this person? Who are we going to get next on the podcast? Like so many different things you don't even realize you're thinking about all day. And so I can't even imagine for someone like him who it really is his passion. He's wanted to do this forever, how constant, like snakes are on the brain.
Also, keep in mind that she teaches children, so while she's teaching the future of America, she's thinking about Instagram.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I was trying to make a really good point about how snakes are like, I'm trying to help you out here, and you just,
I'm just saying.
you just bad
What grade do you teach?
I teach Montessori, so I teach ages 3 to 6.
3 to 6. Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
That's awesome.
But clearly to him, I'm not a good teacher because I'm thinking about Instagram. That's your Instagram, dude. Like, you want me to not think,
dude.
You want me to not think about it and not be a part of it.
The thing about social media and Instagram is that there's many teenagers that are making really good money and building businesses on social media. And a lot of times those kids that are kind of like, they're just not engaged of high school and this and that, they kind of need, that little nudge or wink, like, entrepreneurial, they can, be very successful in this current environment. Like, really, like, the sky is the limit.
Weirdly successful though. Like,
that's true. I mean, they can't be doctors about the diploma, but yes.
But still, there's like kids making like millions of dollars on YouTube right now opening toys. Like, that's totally different subject, but like, if they can do it.
Well, I think it's important because some people don't think it's important to do social media. Primarily, people have been in business for a long time. They don't think it's a big deal. But for us, I think, because we're both young, I think you said 31, I'm 26. And like, we're tailoring the next generation of people who are going to come up, who aren't going to buy from someone that they don't know about, they don't see on social media. So like, if we are ahead of that, as far as you're looking at the consumer behavior,
right,
of the whole nation, like, people need reviews, people want people that they know, like, it's becoming more of a relationship.
You sound like Gary V.
I know you follow Gary V. I saw
like that. He sounds totally like Gary V right now.
I consume so much Gary V. Like, I struggle sounding like him just because, like, I mean, he's helped me so much. A lot of my ideas are from his team, or my marketing ideas definitely stem a lot from Gary Vaynerchuk and his team that on their pages and stuff like that.
Yeah, I saw the post with the picture of the ball python and then like a tweet or a comment. Yeah. I did it, and then I did it too. I saw you did it, and I saw Gary V did it, and I'm like, I'm doing it too.
Right. And that's been a unique experience because I mean, I'll be the first to admit a lot of my ideas are just simply not original. They're just not. I mean, I was mentored and taught, a ton of my ball python knowledge was passed on to me through mentors, and I owe it all to them. The people that have guided me, and I've been mentored by many, many people because when I got in, I was not shy on contacting people like, hey, I'm building this rack. Can you help me? I'm wiring this heat tape. Can you help me? I wasn't one of the ones, and I would not personally recommend new people to the hobby on hitting up like Facebook group pages and just shotgunning ideas to the general group population. I think you should find somebody that you respect and look up to and see if they can take you under their wing to help you out, and someone that you vibe with. That's what I did. And it really created a bunch of good relationships. So yeah, I just kind of lost my train of thought there, but yeah.
No, I totally agree. Cause I mean, I don't like posting in groups because I post up a picture of a corn snake and then people try to tell me that I'm doing something wrong. Right. And it's like on Instagram, I post up the same picture with an explanation, and everyone likes it and talks to me about it instead of assuming that I'm like a piece of shit and then like someone who has a corn snake in a 10-gallon aquarium. I shouldn't talk shit. But
no, but I know you're right. But you're saying that because someone did that to us yesterday.
Literally,
and it's all in my brain right now that someone did that to us for no reason.
So have you found any, how do you deal with feedback as far as like, I mean, your Instagram's huge. How do you deal with answering DMs or people trying to shit on you and stuff like that?
Yeah. So I mean, it's really just kind of blown up. Like, I was looking at my page's impressions. I hit 400,000 impressions last week, and I probably received on average about 40 to 60 DMs a day. And I actually answer every single one. It's like,
that's awesome.
It gets very time consuming, and my turn time keeps getting deeper and deeper on getting to everybody. Of course, I bump friends up to the top of the list and people I know, but I don't know. I mean, this is like one big experiment for me, kind of at large, just because I just kind of burned the boats basically, and I dove right in. And so yeah, I see you in the DMs too, Pops, but DMs is where the magic happens. It really is. That's where the magic happens. You know, that's where I reach out and do my collabs and this and that, and that's where I sell the majority of my snakes is in the Instagram DM. So, and sometimes I bring it on myself. Like I put on my story the other day, like contact me, I have snakes available, and it was like the hordes that they gave. I'm humbled by that. That's one thing that I will never ever complain about anybody ever messaging me, anybody ever even just kicking the tire or window shopping. I will never complain about that. I'm humbled because I operate with it. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, but I operate kind of with fear. This business, I operate it with a chip on my shoulder and also with fear of failure. And I think that's very important, but not to let it consume you. But I'm with you. I was feeling you so much when you was talking about how when you wake up, you know, you're like, what am I going to post today? I'm with you. When I wake up, I'm like, I got about 3 hours, T-minus 3 hours to get my first post in. I try to post 2 or 3 times a day. Currently, I'm going to a 1 post a day kind of format. I see a lot of pages being successful with that. But what I want to transition to for the direction of my business is really trying to speak to the new people to the hobby, because I think a lot of these kids that are starting these pages, they have so much opportunity because I'm tied down. I got a full-time job. I got snakes hatching. I got sales to make. I got boxes to build. I just can't
bills to pay.
I can't be in there grinding it out for hours a day networking like I used to be able to. Now I'm really operating this business. So my time is just spread out, and it gets bad sometimes. I'm like, whoa, what do I do? But there's so much opportunity. I do follow a couple of pages that I've watched blown up over the last couple months where they've started literally from zero and they're at like 10 to 20,000 now. And I'm following like what their actions are in on social media, and what I'm seeing these pages doing, and I'm kind of getting off track here, my apologies, but
go for it.
What I see these pages doing, and this is like my message to the new people that maybe they don't have a big following on Instagram. I see these pages grinding it out, like putting ridiculous amounts of time in. They're liking everybody's post. They're commenting on everybody's post, and they're like liking everybody else's comments. And I don't know what they're doing in the DM, but they're obviously blowing up because of it. I know Gary Vaynerchuk, he has that $1.20 strategy. Did you catch that? So what that is,
I don't know that.
I've been telling a couple of my buddies, I don't have the time to do it. I just don't. And I also don't, for me, I just don't feel the need to do it because I don't want to spam myself because I feel like I'm already out there so much. But if I was new starting out on a social media page and I was wanting to build it up, I would follow all the major hashtags for your niche, like reptiles, ball pythons, horn snakes, anything like that, herps, ball pythons of Instagram, just whatever is relatable to your species that you're working with primarily. And then I would go comment on all the top 9 posts that are ranking in a hashtag and just comment and give value. And then that just gives you so much exposure each day. I don't do it because I don't want to spam, but there's so much opportunity for someone that doesn't have a job, like a kid, for instance, that's in high school or whatever, in college.
I did it once, but then see, I have a problem. When I start doing that, then like I think like, oh shit, I need to send that email to that person. Then I do that, and then I think like, oh shit, got a notification on Facebook. Let's do that because they time your messages, and I don't want to seem like a scumbag and all this other stuff.
Where it says
I'm just way too
in 36 hours or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you respond 98% of the time now. Oh my god.
I think mine's like 95% right now, and like a 5-hour turn time, like whatever.
But it's like some of them don't really warrant answers. It's like, okay, have a good night, and then it's like you need to say the last word, or else it's
I know, yeah, right. I just stopped doing it. I don't know if they count that or not. I felt like I was like, hopefully Facebook knows it does not require a response.
No, Mark.
Give him a thumbs up.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
No, they should like recognize, okay, we've had our conversation. Like there should be like a "it's over" button or something, something like that to mark like we don't need to respond.
Yeah, it's hard to get to. I mean, I don't mind talking to everyone.
No.
But all the guests that we've got on the podcast have been like through DMs. I probably talked to you the first time through DM on Instagram.
Yeah, I don't remember how we met. I don't actually remember at all. I hardly
100% probably Instagram.
Yeah. We literally just like find people on Facebook or Instagram, like look at their stuff, like we start liking it and are interested in what they keep, how they're keeping, what they're doing in the social media world and everything. And so we just reach out to them. And
I think we should get more into, I'm going to switch it over to
okay.
snakes, but we can stay kind of within social media as far as.
I remember the first time that I actually saw you guys, it was, you were doing some live videos. I think it was, you were doing your podcast live on Instagram. And I think it was just you two talking to each other. I don't think you had a guest, maybe. You used to do that more so.
Yeah.
Right?
We used to just talk to each other.
Maybe our first like 10 or 15, it was just us.
You know, and I would watch some of them. And I was always like super impressed with that. I was like, they're just grinding it out like every Monday, you know, like I don't think you had guests for a long time. I would see you guys and I just really appreciated like what you were doing and just the energy, a good positive vibe. And that's
I think it's important to know that I've been keeping for a long time, but I never really talked to anyone. And this year I've made like, if you just put yourself out there, I felt more alone in the reptile hobby beforehand. But now I feel like I know so many people and we have so many good friends now, like just from the podcast, just from doing this, just from Instagram, stuff like that. So like as you're going forward and as you start your podcast, like that's just an opportunity to talk to people that you wouldn't before.
Right. For sure. I'm really looking forward to it launching that.
I said I was going to get to animals, but now we're going to talk about the podcast. Well, I already said it.
Okay,
so what are your plans as far as everyone can see this awesome setup behind you? So what's going on?
Oh man, it's always evolving and I'm still kind of brainstorming the direction that I want to take the podcast. And, you know, I mean, it's a blessing, but it's also, I mean, a mild curse. Like when I do something, it's amplified. It is like, I can't just like experiment without it being amplified. Cause when I put it out, and that's my personality too, when I do something, whether it's good or bad, I'm going to kind of hammer it and put it out there and advertise it. And, I'm really trying to find my lane and what works for me. And I want to be authentic and really have fun in my podcast. And I'm leaning more towards, just running a Q&A show. I love Q&A. I feel like I have a bigger passion for Q&A versus interviewing people right now, at least. So I do have a designated remote co-host, Jared at Dragon Tamer Reptile. Shout out to him. So he will be doing a lot of remote co-hosting to where and you were actually on our first show. You called in, and that'll probably be the first show I drop. Pops is definitely going to be my on-site co-host for as many as he can, attend. That's kind of the direction I want to take. I don't really want to just get on there and interview people. Right now, I'm just trying to I don't know. I'm still trying to find my lane, basically. I don't really know, to be honest, what direction I want to take it in.
Well, let me ask you the question that I asked on your podcast. So someone like myself or like you, we breed species that are commonly bred in captivity. I breed a lot of corn snakes. You breed ball pythons. So what can you do as a ball python or corn snake breeder to make sure that you're differentiated from the thousands of other people producing these same animals, same genetics, even same quality?
Well, I mean, what I would always, of course, recommend is start off with the best quality that you can, like absolutely. And that is the backbone of our business is quality animals. And at this point, every clutch that we hatch out has been just straight fired as far as quality goes. So from there, what I would do is I would differentiate yourself by being present online and putting out content every single day and giving more than you take. That is probably the biggest takeaway that I have and what I've learned through others is just simply providing more value than you take. And I need to do a better job at that for sure. And I'm always learning and trying to grow. And I think you can probably speak to that, Pops, as far as just being there every single day and grinding it out day after day. And when you put 2 or 3 years behind that, you've built something at that point. You've built relationships, you've built friendships, you've built a brand. Because yeah, I can hatch out, a bumblebee and so can 35 other breeders, but it's not a ball python's 101 bumblebee. And that's like the one thing that differentiates you know, you is your brand and who you are and what you stand for. I mean, if you have one person that is buying snakes off auction, or flipping snakes, or they have bad quarantine practices, or they're supporting, you know, just certain people, perhaps. I mean, that kind of creates your brand. So it's really just kind of how you manage that and putting it out there. Of course, then prices factor into that. But I think it's just being there and being present every single day and always just representing your brand the best you can.
Now, it's always a differing of opinions as far as business practices for selling things, especially in the ball python community. Like, how do you feel about things like auctions or raffles or giveaways?
Auctions has just been something that I just haven't supported from day one, and mainly that's just because my mentors from day one did not support them, so I just automatically inherited those beliefs and still stand by those. I've just have been presented that devalued a lot of projects. So auctions is something that I steer clear of and feel that's not needed for me personally. I also don't like to overprice my animals. I try to find a really nice sweet spot. That way, price adjustments really aren't needed. Sometimes I do have to adjust my prices a little bit lower because I just didn't think it out so much. And that's my biggest takeaway recently that I've been kind of like coaching myself on, is to not rush into pricing my animals and really just thinking about it, because I love to just create a price and sell an animal versus price dropping, which I have had to do. But you don't want to be known for dropping prices, because then, you know, that's just not good business. What do you think about that, Pops?
Well, let me back up just one question where you was asking, what can you do that might make a difference, that that you can do different than anyone else? I think when you have a love and a passion for reptiles, snakes, don't be afraid to show it. Just like, say, the rats 101. I can get out there with those rats and I can connect with them. That might sound crazy, but I do connect with my rats.
Wait, I'm gonna need you to explain that.
Well, I mean, some people may view rats as being just feeders for my snakes. That's all they are. They're just feeders for my snakes. But it's more than that. It's a rat colony. I mean, that rat colony is a machine out there. I mean, you have your female rats, that's breeders. You have your males, of course, and then they have their babies. They have their pinks. There's a machine running out there constantly, and you can fine tune that machine when it comes to your rat colony. And it's more than just feeders. It's you got to have a passion for it. And what I'm trying to say is, don't be afraid to show your passion if it's only a rat colony to your social media friends, because that if you don't have rats, you don't have snakes, and that's very important. And I don't know, I just have a real passion for raising and breeding rats.
I'm so glad there's people like you in this world, so I don't have to have that passion. Because
there you go.
Someone told Pops, they on the Instagram DM, they said you're Ball Pythons 101's rat breeder, right?
Yeah,
and
she said,
kind of put like things into perspective.
Yeah, she said, you breed rats for Ball Pythons 101, right?
I made Ball Pythons.
I have my own personal rat breeder.
Right there it is.
No, but I'm out there. I'm in there, you know, elbows dirty as well every
but
Sunday.
See, you have your own personal rat breeder. I've got my own personal snake breeder right here.
That's right.
I think people underestimate what a pivotal part that can be for your business, because as you get larger, there's literally shortages on rodents and stuff, and people really can't make the mark, and therefore the supply of rodents can drastically affect your season. So I think that's super important to keep in mind.
That's very true. Very good point there.
Do you guys want to hop on Instagram Live?
Yeah, we can do that.
I'll invite you on mine.
Oh, all right, cool. Because we're like good at this, but not like
we used to do Instagram Live when we had people in the in our space, but then when we got to doing it here, how do they hear both of us? Oh, I guess if we're sharing it,
well,
never mind.
Hop on my live and send me an invite.
Okay.
You figure that out while I ask him some more questions.
Okay, I got the notification on my phone. Did I get it?
So I think it's only right to ask. Pops, go first. What's your favorite ball python morph or project that you guys are working with, and then Chris.
Yeah, I definitely like the clown project. It's probably my favorite for sure. And then definitely after the clown would definitely be the GHI. That's my two favorite.
Wait, how do I request? Oh, there we go. Sorry. Figured it out.
And now, Chris, what's your favorite project or morph?
All right, now we're live. Should be joint screen here in a second. My favorite, I love all my projects. I really do. I've just been so lucky that my taste for what projects I like are in line with what the market demand is. And I respect anybody that breeds out any project, even if it's not popular. Like much respect to anybody that does that. I've just kind of been lucky that anything I'm interested in is very popular as well, which has made the business side, flourish. My favorite is definitely clown. Definitely highway. I love highway. I'm looking forward to what happens with highway with us. GHI. And I've been hatching out a lot of dark stuff. That's kind of what I'll do. Anything that I'm hatching, I'll highlight and hammer it as far as what I'm showing on my page and what I'm marketing. Kind of like the Gary Vaynerchuk jab right hook. And I'll put out several jabs, and then like last night I put out a big right hook telling people that I would release what my availability is, and I sold out almost within an hour just of posting that, just because I hit so many jabs on that. But yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry, we're not on Instagram. Okay, I see you, but I don't see us. I'm sorry.
Okay. Split screen.
Yeah, I saw your request and I hit accept. So can you send another request?
It popped.
It's like a repeat
it just
of
like
us trying
popped.
to get people
Yeah,
into hangouts.
I just see it just says requested. Like it won't let me. It won't let me send the request. Well, I tried to close it to come back in to see if it'll let me re-request.
So is this, as far as this year, are you hatching out a lot of snakes right now, this time of year?
It's been the craziest season. It was super in the middle of the year. I thought it was going to be a bust. You probably remember me telling you that I just,
oh, sorry. It keeps saying your request wasn't sent. I don't know if it's because I already requested before. It keeps saying your request wasn't sent. This is weird.
We'll just try it one more time. Let me go ahead and just end and then I'll start a new one. And if it doesn't work, no big deal. I don't want it to distract too much.
I think what Chris was saying about some people that breed ball pythons, they'll have like a season where they'll breed for so many months, it seems like, and then all of a sudden, then they'll be getting their eggs and they'll hatch their snakes out, and then they won't have anything for like such a long time, and it goes in that season thing. But it seems like Chris was telling me the past, few months, there'll be certain times he'd be like, well, looks like we're going to have a dry spell. We don't have any eggs coming or anything like that. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, Pops, we got something that's ready to breed now, and then all of a sudden he'll be pairing up snakes, and everything.
The stars have aligned actually recently. So we've been hatching out a ton of snakes, and our season's kind of hitting like right now is like the ground zero, the most busiest time of the year for us, when most breeders are not actually hatching anything. And we have tax season coming up. So it's going to be very nice to be hatching out a lot of snakes right now. And it's going to kind of bleed into 2018. I don't know why. I have my own theories about it. We didn't really, we didn't cool our snakes off too much in 2000. What was that? 2016. We didn't cool very much.
Now go ahead and explain. When you say cool, you mean
cool
nighttime?
So we run an ambient temperature of 80 degrees in our snake room. We run hot spots on the heat tape, and that would be measured with a temp gun on the surface of the tub at 90 to 92. So air temperature in our tubs is 80 degrees. The hot spot, which is typically about 3 to 4 inches of heat tape, is 90 to 92. During our cooling season, we'll usually cool to about 75, 76 degrees at nighttime while maintaining a 90 to 92 hot spot. Last year, for whatever reason, it was a very mild winter, so it didn't allow me to temp drop very much, because I do react to the outside temperatures. We do heat our snake room with oil heaters, but we didn't temp dropped very much about this time last year going into 2017. So for whatever reason, it just seemed to kind of push all the females way back. So we had a super, super late season, and going into 2018, it's going to kind of just be nonstop. I was talking to actually Justin Koblica today, and he said he's having a very early season as well. So we're kind of having like a late season / early season. So everything's hitting very hard like right now. And it's super, super busy right now, which is unheard of in ball pythons. Normally it's July, June, August. It's very busy.
I mean, I've seen more and more as far as breeders breeding all year round and people not doing any drops. And I know when I bred ball pythons, I didn't drop at all in my room. I just let my room get naturally a couple degrees cooler, and it just happened like that. Do you find that, you know, obviously your seasons are shifting? Have you heard that as well?
I don't know. It just seems so variable and so independent on everybody. One thing that I'm seeing is that we're just kind of breeding all the time now. And I'm seeing that with a lot of other breeders. By the way, I saw yesterday was brumation day for you.
Yeah, it was so
Congratulations
exciting.
on that. Right?
Well, yeah, we took everything out of brumation and put it where it's meant to be, but we haven't
That was weird.
where it's meant to be. I don't know why I said that, but we're waiting to bring up the temperature. I'll probably bring it up. I'm probably going to be impatient and do it tomorrow, even though I was going to give it a couple days. But so
You said you're only going to give it 2 days.
On this live video, I did not turn on request.
So if people don't know, as far as colubrids go,
okay, I kept trying to like close it and open it. Like, why isn't it popping up?
These damn kids and their Instagram.
I sent it. Did you get it?
Okay, I got the request. I'm going to accept it now.
Holy shit.
All right, Theportcitypythons.
That's it.
It doesn't look like it to us.
It's not showing to us.
It's waiting for you.
What do we have to do?
You have to probably like accept it.
Yeah. Wait. Be approved.
I don't know how these things work. I sent the request and then nothing else happened.
Instagram hates me.
No,
it's probably us.
Probably us.
You know what? Like Gary Vaynerchuk said this the other day, and I just want to throw this out there for anybody that's listening. If you want to succeed on social media, you have to view yourself as a media marketing agency first and a snake breeder second. And that I think that's very true. And I was curious what your opinion is on that, as far as being a media agency first, snake breeder second, because that's kind of what like pushes out who you are.
I think it's different because these are live animals instead of other things that maybe if these were books, it would be a little bit different. But for me, the animals always come first, but it's a weird compartmentalized thing because the animals, me messing with them, that's my playtime. For me, like the work is the social media stuff, and I take that as a job. Like I take that as serious as I can. And also I want to build this up to a point to where on the down months, I know there's seasonality, especially the colubrids. You may be able to move that around with ball pythons, but with colubrids, it's kind of hard with brumating. So there is pretty strict seasons most of the time if you want to go with the season, if you want to make it easy on yourself. But I mean, I think of myself as like, I want to be a content creator as far as podcasts, as far as YouTube, as far as Instagram. Because if I can make a little extra money selling t-shirts or make a little extra money off of YouTube, then that means that I cover my feed bills. I don't have to struggle to sell a snake. I don't have to make sales because it's winter and no one's buying and I can't ship. It's a way to try to take that seasonality and make more of a four-legged chair out of this business instead of just depending on breeding and selling snakes, because we've seen plenty of people who just sell snakes who are less than optimal, in my opinion. And you've seen people go the other way where they're too into their media stuff and also lose the business aspect. And there's not many people that can do both. I think that's the issue.
And that's what I'm struggling at. Is I struggle with it every single day. And going back to, just what you were saying, is just, it really is hard to kind of balance everything. It really is, like, if you want to do everything, because and I remember when we were starting in 2014, we had to designate so much time to learn our rat colony and learn how to breed rats, how to build the racks, and things get put on the back burner. I have so many ideas for social media, but everybody can have ideas, but the punchline is executing on those ideas. It's so hard to execute on those ideas when you're being pulled in 10 different directions.
Absolutely.
Okay, sorry. Speaking of being pulled in 10 different directions, I'm trying to listen to you guys and see what's going on the Instagram thing. People are saying the Instagram thing is weird because it's like listening to only half of a conversation. Right. But wait, don't end it yet. Don't end it. Tell them to come watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, so for everybody watching on our live Instagram feed, go to Theportcitypythons. Is that correct?
Yes.
Theportcitypythons on YouTube. We are streaming live there. If you want to see, get the full audio, it's probably kind of lame if you just hear what I'm saying.
Sorry, Instagram didn't want to work for us. But yeah.
Enough of this damn social media. Okay. We obviously suck at it.
Okay.
But I think it's harder, especially to balance social media when people don't realize that like making videos, especially YouTube videos, can take you like a solid 8 hours of video.
Oh yeah.
So I mean how far do you guys think through your posts, and how much is original content, and how do you manage, taking pictures and stuff like that?
That's a really good question. Pops, I'll let you answer from your end. But on my end, everything is literally, off the hip. It's feel. When I put a post out, before I hit that post button, I go inside my body and I see how I feel. Like
I like that.
That's meta.
I read the caption. It's all improv. This entire brand and business has been built off of improv, posting, and in the moment. Anytime you see me and Pops going live, and I'll let you speak to this, I'm like, Pops, we're going live. And he's like, oh, okay. And then Pops will go in his room and he'll put on some ghetto ripped up hoodie with a bill on backwards, and we go at it. And that's just because we're overthinkers. And if we allow ourselves to think too much, it just ruins the originality of the content. And whenever I'm typing up a caption on a post, and I'm not saying my captions are perfect or nothing, but it's just all off the hip, man. It's just whoosh, draw it and boom. And then I go inside my body before I hit submit and I say, how do I feel about this? How does this resonate? How is this going to resonate with my follower base? How is this going to be received? And if I like it and it feels good and it hits that warm spot in my body, boom, I hit post and I just let it go out. And that's it. So, and you just kind of put trust in it. And then my next paradigm is at that point, then just moving on to the next piece of content and letting that ride, and not sitting there and kind of getting the feedback, but keep on always moving forward. Because, like going back to Gary Vaynerchuk, what is it? Micro in real time, and then, macro, you're patient, but micro, you're fast. And I'm trying to get faster and faster and faster, but also being more and more patient. I'm very patient. Very, very.
It's like micro rabbit, macro hare or
tortoise.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But there's been several times where we'll go out, you'll say, we need to go out and record this. And then all of a sudden we'll go out there and I'll be holding the camera for you and you'll make a recording and I'll be like, you want to do another one? And you'll be like, no, that's good. I'm like, you sure? He's like, yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, it's boom, it's done.
And I wanted to, you to also field this question as far as, I've been consuming a lot more of your content lately to, for this podcast. How much of your videos are like one take versus like planned and like retakes? Because most of our stuff is off the cuff, one take. We don't typically redo things.
I don't overthink.
Not to say that our stuff is like fantastic or anything. A lot of it's actually been embarrassing, but it is what it is, and that's how you grow.
Well, no, that's the whole fun of it, is because you're practicing in person. I'm not gonna make a video and then not release it just for practice because I already made it. So why not show people how much I suck at this, and then I'll get back to them in 3 years and show that I'm a lot better than I started. But I mean, Melissa's a much more thought through social media person. She thinks like all the analytics, all the things that could come of everything, but I just don't give a shit. I just like to get stuff out there and have fun.
Video together yesterday in like months, and it was mostly us arguing because I was like, no, we need to do it this way, this way, this way, and he's like, no, we need to do it this way, this way, this way. And then it's just like, fuck it, let's just film it.
And if I don't feel good, if I don't feel like I want to do it, I just don't do it because it'll be dog shit.
Yeah.
I know, but that's the thing. Like, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie. Like today, I had anxiety almost the whole entire day. I mean, not terrible, but it's better managed now. But it's not like this is just like, hey, let's do it. You know, I mean, for sure, like there's anxiety involved and that's why I try to think about it. I love spur of the moment, because if I know, hey, I got a podcast tomorrow, or hey, I'm going live tomorrow, I'll have anxiety up until it. And that's
it's just anticipatory, right?
Right. But I was going to say, why don't you guys go live on Instagram and just let me send the invite, and we'll do it that way.
Yeah, do whatever makes us do less, because we're not good at doing
we don't
things.
Have as many, you know.
But if I'm live on it, is joint, so to push it out for both of us.
Oh, okay.
I was going to say, there's been times where I've been out in the rat room and I want to give some information out, and I'll make a recording, and then I'll be like, nah, I want to do that different. Okay, then I'll do it again, and then I'll do it again. I think there was one time I did like 7 different little clips, and I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm going to use the first one I did, because that was the original, and that's really what I wanted people to see anyway. And I just put too much into it and didn't even really have to.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely instances where you don't have to go. The first one's usually the realest one, and then you try to contrive it, and then it doesn't really sound like you, and then it gets weird.
Exactly. There's been times where I've had like a post I'm getting ready to put out, and then I'll go to Chris and I'll say, hey, Chris, how should I caption this picture here that I'm getting ready to post? And he'll be like, well, what's on your mind? And I'm like, that's it right there. That's what I need to put on here. And it's the truth. What is really on your mind about that picture right there? And that's what you caption, and it was real.
Right. And then it's like, okay, sometimes we want to do that. I'm like, but wait, like, we kind of want to be catchy to, like, you know, like, you always go through, like, one week we kind of did, like, all, like, catchy things, like, Thursday, like, Thirsty Thursday, or, like, you know, and it's like, we don't want that to be all the time. We don't want to be known for that. But we're like, let's try this something different. And we're always just trying to see what works.
People like more different. So when I'm just stupid, things that I think are stupid, like that aren't actually even funny.
Right.
Oops, my mic wasn't on.
It's always about pushing the attention. I mean, you want attention on you, and I try not to push that too far, but there's definitely a lot of micro things that I do that to push attention. It's very micro, but you know, not ever thought in a sense.
Yeah, and I think that's attention not from like I need attention. It's like I need attention for my business so that people know that I exist.
Right.
It's a different kind of attention to clear that up.
But I think so many people lose, and myself, I struggle with it, is losing sight of the long game. Like, because really, like, that's all we have is time. It really is. There's no rush in any of this, building your business or building your brand. That's all we have is time. And I'm just thinking, you know, like 2023, like 2024 is kind of like where I'm trying to put my brain at right now, as far as all my actions, and make sure they map to that, and they're patient enough to sustain, you know, our business till then.
Yeah, it's hard because we struggle now, but we always think like I have more faith than Melissa does. But I'm always like, in 10 years, this will pay off. Or like this video, usually most of the YouTube videos pay off in a year or something. You know, it's recurring. And then it all just balls up into hopefully something that
I want it now. Like,
when you say that, do you mean that your YouTube videos will continue to accrue views for a year, and they'll kind of pop as far as like a cumulative statistics over a year?
Like, you can have a video that you randomly put out, you get 500 views on it, then 6 months later, for some reason, the algorithm, the machine picks that up, and it will blow up, and then you'll start making $20 a month on it. You know, say you're getting 10,000 views or something a month, and you make $10 a month, $20 a month, and then you have 5 videos that are doing that simultaneously. Then you have a bunch of videos that are making 5. So you don't make a lot of money per video, but it's a recurring thing. So like our biggest video is like a 1.5 years old, and it just consistently gets views. You know, it consistently gets like 2,000 views every 48 hours, which isn't a lot, but it's enough to make it that it all just adds up. I don't know how else to explain.
Which video is that?
It's not even a good one. See, that's what sucks. It's great because like it doesn't matter if it's good, because the algorithm can pick it up no matter what. but it's a shitty video. Like our 4th video, it's shaky, it's dog shit. But it is greatest pet shop in the world, which is a pet shop right up the street from us, pretty much. I mean, it's a little clickbaity, a little more clickbaity than I usually go, but it worked, and it's still a good video with cool animals that people don't know exist. But it's not my best work. But I mean, what are you gonna do about it? People watch it, people subscribe from it, and it's just I took the at bat and I hit a ground rule double.
That's the thing, man.
Not a home run, but
everybody has an at bat every single day on social media, and that's how I view it. Every day is a new at bat, and you have to kind of re-earn, it with your customer base each day. And I'm always trying out new things. I don't know if you follow me close enough, but lately I've been kind of doing daily giveaways, been giving away stickers a lot daily, and it's really pushed out my interaction on my page. And, I have people that advise me. I'm like, hey, is this diluting my brand? Like, I don't want to dilute my brand. Like, how do you feel about this? And I get feedback on it, and I'm kind of on the fence about doing like daily giveaways, but it's working, and it's literally doubled my interaction on my Instagram. And to me, that's worth it. And it's certainly worth it to invest that versus paying Instagram to push my post out on sponsored posts.
Okay, sorry. Pause. People, back to social media, people on Instagram are saying they can only hear us, but not you. But that doesn't, I don't.
Oh, you just.
I mean, maybe I need to turn my volume up on my phone.
But I don't.
Oh, my volume was down. Can you guys hear me now?
God, we suck.
But wouldn't the volume just be him hearing that? I don't know. Him hearing, I don't know.
We're doing fine. We're going to make it.
Well, yeah, they said they can't hear you.
We've already taken up half the show talking about Instagram.
Y'all are talking about social media too. We've talked about snakes for a whole 5 minutes on this podcast.
I think that's...
sorry to interrupt you, but about social media, just kind of like the punchline, what I would give, because I really feel like it's not talked about enough. There is so many kids that don't have the confidence to launch their pages. Right, here's what I would do. If I was a kid that was like 16, 17, 15, 18, 19, 28 years old, here's what I would do if I had no leverage or no traction at all in social media. I'll tell you exactly what I would do. And I dream about this, and I probably am going to do this. I'm going to start up probably several pages under my name in secret and run some media pages. Maybe not. Maybe I will. I don't know. But I'm dreaming about
building a secret.
I'm dreaming of building up other pages just to keep the challenge there. What I would do is I would first off find your business name. Anybody that's listening that owned 2 animals and that you think maybe in the future you want to create a hobby, maybe some side income, or just share your passion to the world. Create a name, get a name that nobody else has. Get a logo name.
I just want to add to that.
Yes.
Don't be another DEA reptiles, GMP reptiles, QRS. Please make something different than everyone else's name, but go ahead.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Create your brand, and I would get a logo made, and people, I hear people, they're like, oh, well, I don't have any snakes. It's like, guess what? Go back to me in 2014. Either did I had a couple, but I made it work. And I shared other people's posts and did collaborations that way, or I just hammered what I had, and I would just post every single day, good content. I would be, you know what I would do? And I guarantee you this would work. I would learn, social media tips and tricks. I would learn how to edit videos. I would learn graphics. And you could actually, if you're a kid and you don't have money, guarantee you hit up any breeder, because most breeders suck at social media. They do. Hit them up and offer your services to them. Be like, hey, I can create you graphics or a logo. I can edit your video. I can be your social media marketer. Maybe they won't let you, maybe they will, but they could definitely, you could use that for bartering to buy animals.
Sure.
Just bring people value. Just bring value. If you're a kid out there and you got all the time in the world, you don't have a full-time job, that's what I would do. I would be out there grinding, hitting up other breeders in the DM.
And you're building relationships
I would
all
be
at the same time.
Commenting on other people's posts, liking other people's comments. I would just be putting in hours, day in and day out. Do that for 2 years and come see me.
I want to talk a little bit, because if you guys don't know, me and Chris will be putting this out. He'll be putting this out on his podcast, and I'll be putting it out obviously on ours tomorrow. But So that's why I'm kind of talking a little bit more than I would in a regular interview. But I want to give my story of doing that exact thing before Gary Vee was really a thing. But I think, well, maybe just when I started watching Gary Vee, 2014, I was living in upstate New York. All I had was like 15 ball pythons, a few corn snakes, and a few breeding pairs. But I decided this is something I really wanted to do. And Sean Bradley with Bullshit was a big thing. So I was like, hey, I kind of want to do a podcast. I'm thinking of doing all these different things, but let me kind of get a foot in. Let me just say, hey, Sean, my name's Joe. I know you don't know me. It's kind of weird, but how about I work your booth at Tinley on whenever the date was? So he got back to me. He's like, yeah, sure. I guess you can work my table for free. It's like, I don't know. He's like, you're weird, but I mean, if you're offering to work for free, sure. And then, so the plan was I'm going to drive there. It was, I think it's 13 hours from Oswego, New York to Chicago to Tinley there, and drove there right after work, left work at 5 o'clock, got to Sean at like 8 in the morning to meet him, to set up the booth.
That's dedication.
Didn't sleep, set up the booth, worked the booth all day, went to the auction, went to the bar after. But the fact is that, you know, I was able to get I felt like I was finally in the industry. Like I was within the people I've all heard about forever. And I was like, I'm just going to sleep in my car tonight. And at the end of the day, Sean's like, yeah, you help me for free. You can sleep on the couch in the hotel room that we got. So like I got a room. I made it to Tinley. I somehow got my way into Tinley, you know, for free, and made it happen and met pretty much the basis of people that I know to this day. And it was the first time I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting with Garrick DeMeyer. Oh my God, here's Brian Barczyk. Here's whoever, you know, just get yourself out there, dude. And all you have to do is message me. If you live in Texas, you can fucking come over. Like,
Right.
No
like
one
we
wants to
just,
talk to us.
that's true. But it's like, it's just talk to people, man. But that was my story of getting out there.
That's awesome. And that's all it takes. Like some of my closest friends are people that just DM me and like they brought a positive vibe and they had half a brain. Like, and now we're like best buddies, and like I'm putting them on and like as much as I can, like on my social media. And it's just been a great experience. And that's really all it takes, is really just engaging and bringing value. I have so many people that hit me up and are like the DM reads this, can you give me a shout out? And I'm like, not only like, and I'll sometimes I'll coach these people. I'm like, hey, like if you want to shout out, like at least like bring some value, like, you know, maybe like say, hey, nice page, like whatever, like, you know what I mean? Versus just take. People would just want to hit you up and take, but there's so many opportunities. It's not that hard. Breeders are very reachable, and they can, you know, you can definitely network and get your brand out there. And that's kind of what I did. That's how I built like my first 500 followers on Facebook. Actually, back in 2014, I messaged people in the industry and I introduced myself like, hey, I'm Chris Searcy. I'm new to this. Like, you know, I have a lot of plans for the future. I'm just getting started out. I'm just trying to meet people that that share a common passion with me. Nice to meet you. And I sent them a friend request, and that was that. And then maybe like a week later, I invited them to like my page, but you know, you do that week in and week out, and that's kind of how you get a little bit of traction and just bring value.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you bring up Instagram one more time,
right? It's been about Instagram.
Y'all been talking about. I'm trying to bring it back to snakes, even though people keep commenting on Instagram saying they can't hear Chris, but I keep telling people on Instagram like, go watch it on YouTube. So if you're watching right now, go watch it on YouTube. But I want to bring it back to snakes.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. A question from a while ago in this thing, when you talked about pricing snakes and when we were talking about auctions a little bit, someone asked, and I also wanted to know, like, what are your factors? Like, what goes into pricing a snake for you? Like, do you try to put it like, oh, here's like everyone else's, let me put it within 20, like, I know nothing about ball python. So yeah, what factors go into pricing snakes?
Well, for me, you know, it's really all about what is the snake worth to me? Like that is, I guess, what, you know, the gravitation pulls towards, like exactly what is it worth to me? How many do I have of this exact gene? What is my stock like? like the leopard GHI project is fortunately been a project that I've been able to price myself. And you go on Morph Market and there is no GHI leopard stuff at all. So I'm kind of running that project myself. And believe it or not, back in 2016, I've actually raised prices each year because I started off too low. So it's kind of just been like a constant adjustment. I mean, I'll admit I'll hop on Morph Market. I'll type in the genes that I'm going to be pricing and see kind of what's on Morph Market. I don't want to be too far over everybody. I don't want to be under everybody, and I try to find a sweet spot kind of in the middle if I feel it's reasonable. You know, that's just it's kind of what guides me. You know, if you're constantly selling the same combo year in and year out, you kind of already have your prices set. But it's really, for me, it's about finding that sweet spot that I don't have to adjust up or down. And that's I don't like to sit on snakes for too long. That's just my style. You know, I don't want to renew my ads, 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And fortunately, and to kind of backtrack on that pricing, what's really helped is building interest through the process. Like what I'm doing today. If you check out my Instagram story, I'm highlighting my dreamsicle is pairing my black pastel orange dream female. She's at 20 millimeters. So she's probably going to ovulate in about 1 or 2 months. And then I'm going to get eggs in about 2 months after that. And then they're going to hatch 2 months after that. But I'm advertising that right now. And that starts right now. So by the time those hatch, I got a list of 20 people that want that snake. So my prices don't ever have to go public perhaps on that project because I've advertised it so much.
And you already have that list ready.
I already got the list ready. And it's tough. Some of the hardest part about breeding snakes is turning people away. That is the biggest challenge when I got 3 people that want one snake.
We haven't felt that experience yet.
I mean, it's not every snake. It's not every snake, but it is. Like, I've had people pissed off at me to where I've had to literally, they got cash in hand and I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, someone just paid me. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'll get you next time. Like, you turn people away, and it's tough. It really is tough.
See, that's where I end up selling all my holdbacks. I'm like, you know what? If it makes you happy, man, I'll sell you that animal that I really, really love. That's the best one out of the clutch. I'll just make you happy right now. Yeah,
you have to. Sometimes you just got to give it to the customer. I agree with you. I've done that too. I know I know exactly what you're talking about there.
There's been several times when Chris came to me. He's like, I think we should have held back that one we sold like 4 months ago. Like,
yeah.
Wow. Somebody's happy out there. Right.
Well, with corn snakes, sometimes they start out, they start out duller than when they get to adult. So sometimes by that adult age, fuck, that one's a little bit better than the one I have. So yeah, it happens.
Okay. A couple more questions. Someone, I don't know what any of these things are, but I'm asking them. Someone said, how do you...
Don't ask that.
I had a feeling you were going to tell me not to ask
so that. Someone asked, how do you make a GHI? GHI is a single incomplete dominant
told
gene.
Me not to ask.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, wait. What is GHI? I don't know what that is.
It stands for gotta have it. GHI, Reptiles Inc. I guess they brought that gene into the States and they named it gotta have it. So
it's Matt Lear.
Matt Lear, super nice guy. He's always helped me with any questions I've had. I know he's not too active in it seems like he's not too active in the game right now. And I push that project as hard as I can. So
that was one of my favorite projects when I had ball pythons, and I messaged Matt and never got a message back. But he used to breed Amazon tree boas. So I mean, he had some amazing Amazons back in the day. But yeah, I love that project, especially what it does with other dark morphs, makes that like black and yellow. I mean, obviously, if you've looked at their page, I mean, just killer GHI stuff. What's your favorite combination, and where do you think you're going with that project?
Right now, it's GHI Leopard Mojave. It's super, super dark. It's like a black silk with very strong like yellow highlights in it. I'm really curious to see what Clown brings to that. I will be entering a GHI Clown project in 2018. That's actually like first public announcement I've made on that project. But yeah, I really plan on hammering GHI. I'm very dedicated to that project.
There's gonna be 1,000 people on that shit, man.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's very niche. It's niche and it's cool. Like at this point, I'm just doing, what I like. So it works out nicely.
Has there been a clown GHI yet?
Oh yeah. Yeah. GHI clown has definitely been made. Some combos you see like GHI Mojave clown, GHI lesser clown. It's pretty much untapped. They age very, very nicely. I've been very impressed with it.
I mean, that's really a good thing that I see breeders going towards, are animals that age well in comparison to like back in the day when you had a pastel, pastels brown out straight up. So
I actually haven't been very public about this, but the original name that I wanted to name our business was Clowns and Pieds. As lame as it sounds, I wanted to go with like Clowns and Pieds. And my goal originally was to have no pastel in my collection. It really was, because it just browns out so much, but maybe not so much in combos. And I've loosened up a lot, and that's kind of been part of the journey, is incorporating other projects. Clowns and Pieds is my passion and definitely stills my heart. But yeah, I mean, one of my mentors from the past really laid it out to me. They said, you don't want to be like a one-trick pony. You don't want to have just like two projects. You want to be like a candy shop where someone walks in and there's just like a plethora of like different options. That way you can be an interest to many people with different interests versus just like small niches. So I've tried to expand out, and my interests have expanded as we've gone through this.
Now, Pops, how involved are you in the industry, as far as, obviously Chris does all the research on knowing all the breeders and the mentoring? Who do you look to and stuff, whether it be Instagram, on social media, all that stuff? Who are you impressed by?
I like how this swung back to social media, by the way.
I know.
I tried to get y'all on snakes. I tried to get y'all back, and you keep going back to social media.
No, I just want to know what breeders he may be interested in.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to that, I mean, I like the social media where, it's just like all this information that's out there that I can just right at my fingertips see all this information everybody's just sharing with me, and I'm doing the same. But when it comes to inspiration, I mean, I gotta hand it to Chris. He's been my biggest inspiration for real, because I mean, he, from day one, he inspired me to get in it. He inspired me to start the Instagram. He inspired me to jump on board with these ball pythons. And then once I did, I'm like, you know what? This is all right, because this like, once I get done with like, okay, I don't want to say that. Once I retire, this is going to be a whole new world for me. And it is right now, but I'm just saying, I'm going to go full speed ahead at that time.
Well, for perspective, my dad's 60 years old. He has about 20 ball pythons. He's retiring, I think, in 2 or 3 years. He may be over 60, by the way. He may be like 62, but he's actually, so he's the one who got me into reptiles. But as he retires, he's thinking about building rack. He doesn't care about doing the physical stuff. He wants to build racks. He wants to breed snakes. He wants to keep himself busy. So
right, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's important to have something to do after you retire, and like a pastime is something you have a passion about, for sure. And like, I agree with that. And I'm real excited for that about you, and keeping you engaged, and, having a long, nice, healthy life. That's important to me.
Yeah. I appreciate that. I was never one to just, I like to get into things just like Chris. I mean, I guess that's kind of where you get it from me somewhat, is getting into this, getting into that, just being inspired by doing all these different things and just being a sponge. You know what I mean?
Pops grew up on a farm. He grew up raising chickens and fighting, wrestling with goats as a kid and all that. So
pony horses.
Right.
And
I can only imagine if Pops really got a hold of a rat colony as a kid.
Oh my gosh,
man,
you kidding me? I had rabbits. We was breeding rabbits like rats.
Wait, where are y'all from, by the way? I realize I don't.
We're in Kentucky. We're in northern Kentucky. We're about 30 minutes south of Cincinnati.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Gee.
Everyone knows where Cincinnati is.
Yeah. Are y'all born lived there all your life? Everything?
Yeah.
Yep.
We're very, very localized where we were born.
Well, do you see a sort of connection between agriculture? Because I mean, people don't respect it as being agriculture. They think it's more scientific than it is. But breeding ball pythons and breeding rats, how close is that to, agriculture or working on a farm?
I think it's pretty close, really. Whether it be chickens, goats, or rabbits. I mean, I think the ball pythons is definitely considered like farm life.
So when you do get land, because we've been thinking about this, like if we get land, we want to be able to zone it as agricultural.
We're getting some feedback.
Yeah, we're getting feedback.
Yeah. Okay. Your sound just all of a sudden kicked in on Instagram. Did you do something different?
I touched my phone. I'm gonna turn my volume down a little bit. That'll probably help.
Yeah.
Well, my volume up button is stuck on my phone, so I can't actually turn it down. So that's the great part.
This may end this right now.
Well, you can open it on here.
There's only
fucking Instagram Live has been rooting.
Oh, this distraction.
Yeah.
There's only 5 people watching it. So if you're watching it, go
Turn it off. Get
Okay.
this out of
Okay.
here.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
Okay. Go back to
We're
farms
talking
and
about the
agriculture.
farm life. When it comes to breeding ball pythons, reptiles, I can definitely say I would view it as definitely a farm life. I mean, there's so much you can do when it comes to breeding ball pythons. You can use the used bedding into like a compost in your garden, which basically stems right back to growing nourishment for your own self, along with everything else. I think it's agriculture for sure.
Speaking of bedding, like what are you guys using as far as bedding for your rats and also bedding for your animals?
For the snakes, we're using coconut mulch. We don't use name brand, and I mean, I haven't been too hard on it, but I just don't think anybody should be paying full price for the name brand. I won't mention names, but the name brand.
There's only one, so it's hard not to mention.
I think it's kind of ridiculous if anybody's and I put a post out with the tweet, attached to it. I just don't think that anybody should be paying full price for that, because that's money that you could be investing in snakes, which is going to give you the more of a return. But just look around. Even local nurseries typically will carry coconut mulch, or they can, and you can support local businesses and get it through them. But we have an online vendor which we found the coconut mulch through, and I've heard that they all come from the same source, and it's been great, and we like that because it does hold humidity pretty well, and the ball pythons seem to like it. It's great for spot cleaning. And then as far as the rat bedding, Pops,
we use the pressed pine, and what we like to do.
Pellets.
No, it's not the pellets. It's the shavings.
We should try to pellet sometime, maybe.
Yeah, we've never tried the pellets, but it's the shavings that we use, the pressed pine shavings.
And you find, is that just like aromatic or aromatic?
Aromatic.
Is that a word?
That's not a word.
You know what I meant.
Yes, aromatic.
It's definitely, it's shaved pine.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, they love it. The rats love it. We do open up our pine bedding. It comes in a bale, plastic, and we do open it up, and we try to let it air out, dry out, before we use it, which is in this same rat room. And then because when you first open it, it can smell just a little bit strong. I mean, it's just coming from the factory, right? And it's pressed in plastic and everything. So when you first open it, it's going to smell a little strong. But if you can ideally open that up and maybe put it in a couple containers, just let it get some air, let it dry out, I think it works a lot better that way. And it's definitely not as strong. It doesn't smell like pine after that, at that point.
And we tried a recent pre-scenting technique. If anybody's seen a recent YouTube video, we were pre-scenting on the pine, and we switched over to pre-scenting, which means we'll go to the rat room.
Yeah.
We'll fill up our pre-scenting tubs with rats that are going to be fed to the snakes. And instead of setting those rats on pine, we've been setting them on coconut mulch, which is also what our ball pythons are set on. And we've actually seen an increase in feeding response by getting away from such a strong pine smell on our rats. And that definitely seems to correlate to a better feeding response.
But it's not necessarily a strong pine smell that you're talking about. because what we're doing, we're taking these rats from the rat room and we are putting them in tubs on the same bedding that the snakes are on. So there's no big difference in smell.
There's
So
no,
right,
like,
is
foreign
it like
smell.
the less pine, or is it the more of the same smell that they're used to?
The more of the same smell that they're using.
Yeah, that's probably what's doing it. It's like the same smell
Right.
that they're
Right.
in.
And I've also, nobody has ever told me this, but I started tapping on each shelf like 15 minutes before feeding to kind of wake the snakes up. And that's helped as well. So I'm learning that. That's like the punchline.
It's voodoo, man.
I'm always
Stuff like
I'm always
this.
learning, man. It's like it's never ending. Always like adjusting and learning, and try not to be so romantic with ideas, that are holding me back.
Stuff like this is like, because you talked about earlier, like I like the analytics stuff, I like the numbers, like all the experimentation, and that like is what I wish I had time to do. Like like last week we had Stu Tennyson on. I don't know if anyone listening knows who Stu Tennyson is, but he's really into gray bands. And we got talking to him about feeding snakes and everything and boiling pinkies, because we've had to try that with our corn snakes. And he talked about all the different like trials he did with boiling pinkies, whether it's, for 2 seconds, yada, yada, yada. But like that and the stuff that y'all are talking about, like the tapping before, I love that stuff. Like just the A to B, like finding out like what
Little science experiment.
like little science. Like I wish I had the time to do that, or I wish we had money to pay someone. Like I wish, not we specifically, but we, the snake community, had the money to do that, because I just think
or
that
time to come up with different.
I think that would help further the snake community as a whole, for someone to be able to take that time to do that. Like whether it's, feeding, like night feeding times, doing that, or it's like the boiling pinkies, different things, or that
just the little nuances that you get as a seasoned keeper. And I want to get your opinion on the fact of like, do you change what's already working? Because like I can breed corn snakes really good this way. People are saying don't change it. Don't fix what's broken. How do you manage don't fix what's broken, or try to try new things and see what works?
Well, it's interesting that you ask that each season we have gone into a new circumstance, and it's funny. We were talking about this on our live video last week, to where I used to be very particular and, kind of veered towards like just caution. Like I remember Pops,
like it's got to be done one way only.
That, and I would tell you when we would enter the snake room, we would try not to talk too loud. It was kind of funny.
I remember one time I had a pocket knife on my belt, right? And I don't know how it got dislodged, but it gets dislodged. It hits the floor, boom. And he's like, Pops, that's a little loud for the snakes.
What the hell are you doing, Pops?
You
Like,
little superstitious.
ruined our breeding season. You just ruined everything. They're all disturbed now, and now like we are so much looser on disturbing and being loud in the snake room. But going back to April 2016, I accidentally I don't know how it happened, but I was in a rush. I was going camping that night.
Yeah.
And I left the snake room door open.
It was a hot day, right?
No, it was cold outside. It got down to like 70 to 65. It was probably like 65. I left the snake room door open. And the snake room,
sorry, let's acknowledge that you just said 65 is cold.
well, for snakes.
Well, yeah, true.
So it was 80 degrees in the snake room, and I left the snake room door open for like 3 hours, and the whole room dropped like 65 degrees for 3 hours. The following 3 months, I got the most eggs that I've ever gotten. And that kind of opened up a paradigm for me, to where it's like, don't be so romantic about certain procedures and this and that. Try new things. I had a snake that got loose out of a snake drawer because I was on a live video and I got distracted, and I left the snake tub open.
Yeah.
And this snake crawled out of its tub, somehow managed to find a vent that was open to the rest of the garage, and escaped into the garage.
Whoa.
It was hunkered underneath our furnace on the cold cement floor.
Yes.
And when we found this snake, it was there for about 12 hours. when we found a snake, it temp gunned at about 65 degrees. Well, that snake went on to lay eggs about 2 or 3 months later. And I feel like these dramatic changes and temp drops trigger a lot of these females as far as changes. So anymore, I just don't hold back as far as being loud in the room, and we're on videos. And if I bump a rack, I used to keep sheets over my racks. Believe it or not, it's probably a bad fire hazard actually. but I don't know, man. It's really just been a good experience as far as letting go and letting nature take its course and happen as it does. And I'm going to get kind of woo-woo on you here. I'm actually a big believer in positive energy in your snake room and the results that you get in the clutches and the breedings. I don't know. I try not to be too woo-woo, and Pops, I'll let you speak to this a little bit, but
Pops, are you too?
I am, because every time when we're cleaning rats, and then he's going, there's a certain time right in between when we're cleaning rats when Chris will exit the rat room and he'll go in to drop the rats in with the snakes, and he does the feeding at that time, and I continue on cleaning. And then every time it's like, hey, good feeding, you know, and it's like that positive, yeah, it's that positive energy that has to go into that snake room to get good feedings. I believe that.
I was dating this Chinese girl, and she told me that the snakes needed feminine energy in the snake room,
and she's right.
To have better breeding. So I always try to get a female out there.
What'd you do in the snake room?
it was just that that presence, just that presence.
So I don't know. Like I don't know.
I learned to knock.
Look, I don't know. But one thing that's for sure is no negative attitudes. No negative attitudes, no negative energy is allowed in the snake room. And if you look at what I'm documenting on my social media, we are hitting some insane odds day in and day out, or clutch in and clutch out. You know, it could be short term, short run, but whatever, it is what it is. But we try to keep a positive, attitude and energy in the room. Real quick, there was have you guys heard about the rice study? Have you heard about that?
No.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So you take, you cook some rice. Okay. You cook some rice, and you take 3 mason jars and you divvy out the rice into 3 different mason jars. Okay. You do a 1-month experiment. You take each jar, and one jar you give positive energy to. Like, you're like 1 minute per day. You're like, I love this jar. I love this rice. It's awesome. The second jar, you ignore it. The third jar, you're like, I hate this rice. This rice sucks. Okay. Like, every single day. The rice that you give love to has no mold. The rice that you ignore has some mold. The rice that you hate has a ton of mold. YouTube it. I'm telling you.
Did Tony Robbins pay for this study?
He might have.
You never know.
Tony Robbins might have been involved here, but I'm telling you, YouTube search it. It's like, I don't know. Like, we really tried to be too.
No,
I have not done a study myself, but there's like thousands upon thousands of like, individual people that have done this study, and it proves like the energy, the positive energy. Not to get too woo-woo, but we always try to keep a positive vibe in the snake room, and we're seeing like really good results. Because to be honest with you, back in 2015 when we started, I was, I hadn't seen the positive results, and I was more negative, and I didn't know if it was going to happen or not, and we didn't see good results. And ever since then, it's kind of taken off since we've been positive. So take it or leave it. We try to be positive.
At the end of the day, the only thing that could go wrong is that you're happier than you were.
Yeah, right. That's the punchline, really. It's just being happier.
Yeah. I'm definitely happy with our snakes until you take out our demons. How do you be positive when you have demon snakes in your room?
We have like one or two that are pretty chill. They're like pet rocks. They're like the perfect pet rock.
Oh, wait. Okay. You saying that makes it okay. We say that all the time, but I feel like I couldn't say it. But since you say it, I can say it.
They're pet rocks. That's why you got over 100. That way it kind of makes up for it. If you own over 100, then you get enough interactions to make up for them being just pet rocks.
Mm.
Okay.
You heard it here first.
Pet rocks turn into gravel.
That's right. We have one female, and we just ignore her. We just don't give her. We just ignore her. Let her have her piece.
Yeah, I think people ask us a lot, like, what do you do when you have a mean snake? Well, we don't have to hold all the snakes. We don't have to hold any of the
We
snakes. So
ignore it. We feed it, and
we feed it, we clean it.
and that's
It does
about
its job.
it.
Yeah. I had one guy yesterday. He's like, does it have a docile temperament or is it aggressive? And I'm like, I've literally spent like 10 seconds with this snake because it hatched like 3 days ago. I'm like, it seemed pretty chill.
Yeah. Part of course for every ball python. So it will be a little shitty for a month and then it will be just as docile as everything else for the most part. Did you find a question?
No, I swear someone asked the question in the chat thing, but I just sat here scrolling. I don't know. There's a lot to scroll through. We're talking.
What kind of racks do you guys keep?
We actually custom built all of our racks because we didn't want to invest so much money on like the big, Freedom Breeder. What's the other brand?
Just manufactured racks, basically.
Yeah.
ARS, the other one.
ARS, yeah. I would, but we bought like name brand tubs, and then we just took the measurements, and then we just custom built the expanded PVC racks to that, and that was the most cost effective way for us to do that. That's just a route we took, so we have more money to invest in snakes themselves.
Basically, with Chris's brains and my muscles, we can go places.
and YouTube instructional videos. Right. And all the people and mentors in the hobby that selflessly, gave us their time and passed down knowledge, like for real, straight up. Like,
but
that's what it's all about.
It has been really cool that we can take like basically a PVC board, have it cut down, and really build a snake rack out of it. That's really
right.
unique.
And I've wanted to share that. I've wanted to make, because there really is not a lot of videos on YouTube that shows you how to build these snake racks. And there's some, and they helped us.
Very old ones too.
Right, they're old, and it's tough getting a video to build a rack. We tried it once. I think we're gonna try it again. Try to get a good video out. Maybe the algorithm would be nice to us, and we'll push it out.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to think back at a time where people didn't really know how to keep these things. Like we talked to Stu last week. He's been keeping since the 70s, and these racks weren't even a glimmer in anyone's eyes. Like they didn't even know that this was possible. For us to be able to keep this many snakes in a small amount of space is like, it opened up the whole door for us to commercialize at all. That's the reason why snake are probably so big as pets today.
So true.
Definitely.
What are you gonna say?
Oh no, sorry.
You're getting caught up in the chat.
Yeah.
Even to our rat racks, we basically we bought the tubs that we needed from our local hardware
breeder, or
no, from just the local hardware
cement tubs from Home Depot, the medium for the breeders, and the large cement tubs for grow out racks.
I mean, people actually do mix cement in these tubs for small jobs, or they may even do just odd jobs in these tubs. It's basically just like a tub, And then we actually took these tubs, flipped them upside down, and Chris said, "Hey, we're going to buy us a table saw." And I'm like, "Table saw?" He's like, "We're going to be ripping a lot of 2x4s." So a lot. So we basically ripped 2x4s for like weeks. And then all of a sudden he's come home with these measurements and everything. This is what we need. So we ripped all of our 2x4s, flipped our tubs over, lined everything up. It's like, oh my gosh, I could go on for hours. But we end up with a rack that we can put rats in that is secure and a nice, clean. Once we clean, it's basically a secure, plenty of room, water for the rats. They couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah. How do you, what's the barrier as far as how do you get like breeder rats? I'm not that familiar with the whole rat thing.
We were lucky just enough to find a couple local guys that have big established colonies. John Chosmer helped us get our colony established, and he was kind enough to let me get dimensions off of his racks. And that's really what it comes down to in this hobby. I mean, anybody new getting in, I mean, if you're a genius and you can come up with this stuff on your own, mazel tov, right? Like, great. That's awesome that you can do that. But for us, we're not that smart. We had to kind of get dimensions off other people and practices off of other people and then kind of, curate those and make them to our own to work best for us. But that is the punchline of the hobby is people helping people. And you want that. Like, you want to come from a place of abundance where everybody wins. You don't need to have someone lose for you to win. If everybody wins, you win. And that's kind of the place that we're coming from, is that we want to pass down what we've learned for someone to learn from that so they can win and we're going to win too. And, everybody should go up and what's your dog's name?
Pixie.
What is
That's what I was laughing at earlier because I was
Take off your
typing.
collar.
I was typing in the chat. I was like, "Hey y'all, if it looks weird what we're doing with our arms, it's because we're petting our dog. Because she was too short to get in the shot, but you could see him and I's arms like moving really weirdly. So I was telling people in the chat like, "Hey, it's our dog."
But yeah, as far as getting the breeder rats, Terrence Hawkins, Terrence Hawkins Reptiles from Instagram. Here's the thing. Here's the punchline of everything for me personally. When you put your content out there, the universe will return you favors. So when we put ourselves out there, opportunities have presented themselves to us. For some reason, just by posting, Terrence Hawkins hit me up. He has an insane rat colony and he hooks me up with breeders and he manages his bloodlines very nicely. So in return, our rat colony has great genetics just because I posted. That's it. Mm-hmm. If I would have not posted, I would have not got that connection. I would have not met Terrence and I would have not met up with him and sold him snakes, and also in return got breeder rats. So, that's what it's all about for me, is put yourself out there, because you're going to get people that give you feedback for better practices, or you're going to get connections or mentorship, or you're going to help them out, which is also rewarding within itself when you're helping someone else out. So that is just the takeaway for me, is don't hoard information, put it out there. You can get feedback that'll help you, and you can also help others by sharing what you know. And a universe, in my opinion, not to get woo-woo, but it just kind of rewards you with that.
Yeah, I think that's important to mention, especially in the industry we're in, because quite frankly, you're selling a JHI leopard or I'm selling a weird morph of whatever. But quite frankly, those people are mostly buying so that they can raise it up and they can breed it. So if they succeed, you succeed more, because they'll grow with your project and their products will grow. They'll get more money to buy more snakes from you, and then you'll buy from someone. It's a little bit of a pyramid scheme, but then again,
it is.
The longer you stay in it, the higher up the pyramid.
It's not
you
a
go.
little bit. It's
It's 100% a pyramid.
But you want your customers to be successful, because that you want them to make money, and you want that to pyramid down 100% for sure, and that's okay. I mean, everybody wins. Just what level you're on is up to you.
Exactly.
Someone on the chat asked if there's any drawbacks to ASF rats.
We have never dealt with them, so I really can't speak to it on our end.
Right.
I mean, from the people who have tried ASFs, especially for ball pythons, they're not going back to regular rats.
That's what someone else said. They never go back once they go ASF.
I've heard both ways. I just really can't speak to it. I'm not sure. I mean, we do mice for some of the snakes that are picky, but I don't know. I mean, I'm game for maybe trying to present the room with ASFs. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. Like, people get romantic with ideas in the hobby, and I think that is a flaw, and we need to always move forward and try new ideas.
And on so many things. Who were we talking about? Oh, the father and daughter that we had over to our house recently. Like, they know nothing about snakes. Like, he's just trying to do some research for his daughter, and he already picked up on the fact that people in this community are so stuck on certain things for no reason. Like, and the fact that someone that new and that novice can pick up on that, like, what does it say about the community? That people are so stuck in these particular things.
Well, he was like kind of alluding to the fact that you can still get those old school guys who have a lot of imports, a lot of flips on a lot of weird different species of snakes, and he could pick up like who was a breeder, who was into what.
Wholesaler weirdness.
Yeah, which is funny. There's a lot of levels to this game. So it's like, where do you want to fit within that structure? And I think we both kind of picked the try to breed cool shit. And I don't know if this is the right one. I don't really know.
But even like about naming, and so I think we talked about some things like that, like naming or genetics, and like people want to be like act like they have a PhD, but you know they really don't.
And that's the thing, you know, and just to kind of plug this, you know, when we name this business Ball Pythons 101, it's 100% not because we are like the 101, like where we know it all, because we really wanted to choose a name that we could grow into and challenge us. And I don't think we'll ever get there to where we're like, we know it all. I don't want to be that person at all. I just want this.
That's impossible.
It is.
Once you know it all, it actually shows that you know very little.
Exactly. And we don't want to be that. And I've been lucky that we've got good feedback on the name, and I just want information to pass through us. Like we're not Ball Pythons 101. Like everybody, you know, that interacts with me is part of that. And everybody that's taught me is part of that. And I don't want to claim to be a know-it-all at all. That is what I pride myself on, is that I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly introducing like new marketing techniques that catch on or through others. And I don't know, it's just something that we could grow into, you know, and it was never intended to be, you know, that we know it all or that our way is the way or anything like that.
And it's like when someone comes to us, maybe asking for information, if we don't know, we'll try to learn it and try to share it back.
Yes. It's been a great learning experiment. Just, it's been great.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes not to say like you're a damn idiot without actually doing the work and being like, you can't just but I'm saying I can't be like, oh, when you tap on the side of the tub, like, of course that's not going to work. You're an idiot unless you try. And if that works for you, then that means that works for you. And if it works for me, then it's something that we can all try out just to get a little bit better, just to elevate us just a tiny bit.
Yeah. And it may not work for you. And that's like the beautiful thing. And I don't know how this applies to corn snakes or other species, but from my experience with ball pythons, literally everything works. Like that's the punchline with ball pythons. Everything works. Anything you're doing will work. It just will. I get hit up daily with DMs where people tell me they're doing this or that, these temperatures, this cooling period, this incubation method, and it all works. It really does. It just all works. And that's the beautiful thing about it. It's such a versatile hobby. And that's where people get caught up or like my way or the highway. It's like, no, not so much. It's
not at all.
Not at all. Anything works. And that's the beautiful thing about this hobby is that literally anything works. Don't overthink it. Have fun with it and enjoy the process.
And when you get success, stick with it and build upon it. You don't have to change everything for no reason. If it's working, then
it's true. But you can have flexibility, and that's what we'll do. Oh, yeah. We'll have flexibility and try something new because I know anything probably will work with ball pythons.
That's nice. That's something we don't do. But I mean, granted,
but I do things that other people don't do. For me, even with corn snakes, when I don't brumate them, I have snakes that stay up all year round. These are just grow outs and stuff like that, or snakes that I haven't sold. And I'll seasonal feed even if I don't drop their temps. So instead of a mouse every week, they'll get a mouse every 2 weeks. And that will signify to them that it's winter. And they'll have I want to feel like it's a small cycle to where they can still get food in, but they're not totally off of food and dropped in temps. But I still feel like that ingrains in them a little bit. So that's a little like weird thing that I do that may or may not work, but it's something that I feel helps me out to get them into the swing of things.
That makes a lot of sense, really. Because the snake knows that there's less food on the table, so it must be at that time when it's just not available, right? Wintertime, downtime for you're talking about.
Right, and it might be different with ball pythons. It seems like when you start ramping up the feed and they're like, oh shit, it's breeding time. So maybe the total opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you change as far as, I know you kind of let the room go and it seems like you pay attention to your females and you're just hitting hard now, but do you do any type of feed cycling or anything like that?
every Sunday when we clean rats, we offer an appropriate size meal, which is typically the width, the largest width of the female or male's body. Yeah, we don't really feed any rats larger than 175 grams. We don't power feed. We offer a meal once per week. And what I'm finding, because I'm still new to the game, and that's to me, that's the funnest part about it, is that I'm always learning. I'm always adjusting. That I'm finding that the ball pythons will manage everything for you. They kind of have the final decision when they're ready to give you eggs. They'll go off feed when they feel it's necessary to manage their body weight or their fat percentage. It's been great because I was so much more stressed back in 2015, 2016, to where now I'm realizing, like, it's okay, just let go and let these balls decide what's up, like, and just provide them, the proper, temps and humidity, and give them fresh water once a week, and a proper clean enclosure, and they'll kind of handle the rest of it. And there's no reason to kind of overthink it. And that kind of frees me up to, build the brand.
It seems like I've seen a lot of questions come in where someone may ask, my snake hasn't been eating for like the last months. And I've heard you say where they'll hit a wall.
They'll hit a wall. You know what I tell them people that they're like, hey, my snake has not ate for 3 months. I'm like, brother, join the club, because I've had snakes that have not ate for a year, and there's nothing you can do. It's on their terms.
Right. But when they're ready to eat, they will.
They will.
And when they're ready to breed, they will. It's like they all want to procreate. We just get in the way of that.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. People stress out about that. I mean, and it helps to have 150 snakes, because you're not going to put so much focus on one snake. You got tons of others that are also breeding, which definitely helps. But it's really the whole process of letting go, and this whole journey is just really expanded and matured me as a person and a human being, at letting go in life and not trying to control everything, and just kind of going with the natural flow, and doing everything you can and letting go of the rest.
So this business has gotten significantly larger in the last, starting, it sounds like you started really ramping up in 2014. So where are you now, capacity wise, number of animals wise, and what do you look towards as far as the future goes?
I mean, daily right now, I'm evolving right now. I'm definitely in a transition period from going from, I don't even know what you want to call it, level 1 to like level 3, to where I'm having, like 2015, I had 4 clutches. 2016, I had 21 clutches. And I remember all the anxiety. I was like, whoa, we got a lot of snakes coming up here. Like, what do we do? And we got through it. And that gave me a ton of confidence going into 2017. 2017 early was a slow season, so I hammered social media and ramped that up. And now I'm kind of getting a lot of clutches, and the anxiety comes back in, where it's very personal for me, to where I don't want to produce snakes I can't sell. That is for me personally, it's very important that what I produce I can move at and not hurt the project. At the end of the day, my goal is to leave the hobby better than I found it. That is the absolute punchline for me. I don't want to take away from the hobby. I want to better it than where I found it. And as far as the future, I think we will continue to grow into that. 3 years from now, I think the sky is the absolute, parameter. I just want to keep on, I want to remove because I have success barriers. I do. Even with this podcast, just to be 100% real, anytime I progress my brand and I expand, I experience success barriers that will stop me. And that could be in any type of form. It could be that I will focus more on my day job, or I'll just find any type of damn excuse that will keep me from building my brand. And to me, the ultimate, North Star is any place in life that you are experiencing setbacks or resistance is probably what you need to put your attention on. And for me, it's been this podcast. because I know that when I'm live recording myself speaking, it's on record. And I know when I put it out there, it will be heard by hundreds. So I feel resistance there. So for me, it's to learn to push through that and to keep pushing forward. And I just, this all started in 2014. We're in 2018 right now. So we're 4 years into it. So 3 years from now, the sky's the limit. It just really is.
You're just learning to crawl right now.
I'm just learning to crawl. And here's the punchline is don't quit. Just don't quit. There's just no quitting, and just keep pushing forward, and it's okay. And don't rush yourself. It's okay if it takes an extra year. Everything I projected has taken an extra 1 or 2 or 3 years. It just has. It's always an extra year, and that's okay. It's just whenever you can get it done.
And going back to the I always want to. I've had guests on here who said that they were going to start a podcast. I always bring it up, even if they're kind of unsure about it. I'll put them on the spot to do it because and that's why you were like, oh, I want to push this back to when I launched my podcast. I'm no, we're going to do this first because you have to launch your podcast after because we're going to talk about it. So
right.
That's social. What do you call that? Everyone knows you're going to put out a podcast. Now they expect a podcast. So now it's there. And
I want to devote to one a week.
Hell yeah. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's nothing that you can't do. If you do Instagram consistently, there's no reason why you can't do a podcast consistently. There's no why, once you get that habit. YouTube too. Yeah. So you get that in that groove and keep it going. And it seems really, hard to manage in your head when you think of it, but once you start going, it gets easier and easier. And if I think you kind of referenced it, but you may actually pick it up, but I'll put this out here. I always put out books like a fucking loser and no one cares, but
I do. I care.
There you go. Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. I think you may be a little bit referencing that book, whether you like it or not. It's Stoic philosophy. And it sounds really lame, but it's really fucking cool. The Seahawks read it, the Patriots read it, and they're pretty good at football. So I don't know.
The whole team?
Yeah, the whole team. It's part of their program.
Really?
So it's Stoic philosophy. The hardest thing that you do is actually going to be the best thing for you.
Exactly. I believe that 100%. And I feel it daily. Anything that is the best for my brand, I have the most resistance towards 100%, period.
Obstacle is the way.
There you go. And then also The War of Art, which is Stephen Pressfield
Stephen nailed that book. I've read it 2 times. Yes.
There you go. See, I mean, you could see when people line up, there's, I don't know, people who do things consistently are just always looking to get ahead and do different things. We both read books. We both do all these different things. So I just implore people to always try to get better, no matter what they do, because it makes me a happier person. I don't know if it works for everyone else, but I feel good when I'm productive.
Yeah. I don't know what you want me. You're looking at me like you really want me to say some inspirational.
You're like a person who doesn't care about that. You're like, health, whatever.
Okay. Pause. Don't bring in my health to this snake podcast. We all know you're Mr. Fit and exercise every day. I'm Mrs. I like food. Let's table that. But I do like getting better. But the way we view getting better is different. I view it in the numbers form. I view it in the data and the results. I don't even know how to characterize how you.
No, I think you need that because you're a more analytical mind. I'm a more creative mind. Pops, where do you fall between you and Chris? Do you have that same dynamic going on? Do you complement each other in certain ways?
We do. Sometimes when I may lack in certain things, he'll hit me up on it and put me back in perspective. And then when he may lack in things, I'll hit him up on it and put him back in perspective also. And hold on just a second.
Yeah, Melissa's my disciplinary with that, with the consistency. She doesn't want to do it, but she likes to tell me to do it.
But it's hard because at the end of the day, like I said earlier, at the end of the day, this is his passion. I stepped into this a year ago because we started dating. And so at the end of the day, his viewpoint probably wins. But I think it's also good to have that other person as, you know, and I not to toot our own horn, but I think our following we have, at least through our YouTube videos and through the podcast, is because people like seeing these different
fight each other.
Not fighting, not us fighting, but to see our differences and things, and to
We are
see
so
that
different.
to see that, okay, how many years? 14, 15 years. I don't know how many years.
Oh, keeping?
Just snake.
Yeah.
Just 14, 15 years in 1 year.
But also it's like there's levels, meaning I was a keeper for 14, 15 years, but I was only a breeder for the last 5 or 6. So it's a large distinction. I'm nowhere near as capable as someone who's been breeding for 16 years. So there's different levels.
It's like there's different levels within us, and then the people we talk to adds a different level. And I think
there's different perspectives too between people.
And I think though I'm new to it, though I have different views on things, though I like the numbers and the data and it adds a different level to our name and our brand by having us both on there.
Right. And also think about the fact that there's people like when Chris in 2013, me in 2000, like probably around the same time. It's like we would have wished to be talking to the people we talk to on the podcast, or the people that Chris will be talking on the podcast. We would have wished to be able to have the contact with these people. And it's not about you having to get great. It's about you just creating a platform. We've created a platform for us to talk to Chris and other people out there. Like, it just gives you an excuse to talk to fucking cool people that don't give a shit about you anyway.
They give a shit about us. Don't say that.
But they wouldn't know of you unless we talked into these stupid microphones for no reason. And that's why it's great. That's why podcasting is great. So,
I never answered your question as far as the haters like in the DM. And, you know, honestly, like our page has got 99% love and probably like 0.0001 hate. And to me, just we don't give the haters any attention at all. And we don't feel that fire. And for anybody that's starting out, I would never be scared of any type of hater. Anybody hating on you, you'll get way much more love than what you're going to get in hate. And I would never, if anything, put a chip on your shoulder and let that drive you. And I have a massive chip on my shoulder and it drives me like hugely. So yeah, it's win-win.
Yeah, I love everything about this hobby, but also it's the very same thing that drives me that I want to win, right? But I deploy that in the way that I breed snakes and post everything on social media. Like, I love all the people, but it's like I put the fire into putting out the content and doing the day-to-day things.
Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah.
Totally different question. Would you ever keep anything else other than ball pythons?
Hopefully that is the goal. I have a lot of buddies that keep, you know, different boas and retics. And when we get a bigger space, I mean, literally we're keeping our ball pythons in a 9-foot by 10.5-foot room, which should be motivation to someone that's in a small space that they can do this. But we really don't have the space to venture off into bigger tubs to give proper enclosures. I don't want to, you know, shortcome what they deserve. A bigger snake in the future, hopefully, yes.
I think that's important because you know the distinction between the fact that ball pythons obviously have certain degree as far as keeping goes, and people don't realize that one doesn't apply to all. So like when you get a green tree python, you don't necessarily keep it like a ball python. People think it's 1-to-1, but obviously people who just think through and research things, and obviously like for someone who's been keeping that long, not to have a different species of snake is really fucking disciplined. So I respect that on that end.
I mean, partially I'm slightly embarrassed by it. Like, oh, I just keep ball pythons, but I really try to stay in my lane. And hopefully in the future, you know, we can venture off. That would be great. I would love that.
How would you feel if, say, the world ended and ball pythons are all worth $100, kind of like where our corn snake market is? What do you do as far as, do you venture off in more snakes to keep the business going? Do you keep on going with ball pythons? What do you do at that point?
Well,
Pure
the
hypothetical.
Very
punchline,
hypothetical.
at $100 a snake, our business model still succeeds. So that should be more motivation. Even at $100 a piece, we still succeed and win. But you know, so everything else is icing on the cake after $100. You know, if we were to keep others, I really like green tree pythons. I love them. I would probably go super big and probably get some Burmese. I don't know. It would just be open. I would have to look more into it.
I view that as if they became $100 value, right? Can you imagine that the group of people that's going to draw?
Oh my God, it would be flooded. Absolutely flooded. Right. The amount of people out there that are interested in keeping snakes, like my brain has shifted to where I just assume everybody has a rack in their bedroom. Literally, I think everybody that I meet has a rack in their bedroom. Straight up. That's my reality right now.
It's so, I mean, it's become so, especially with the culture that we're in, once we're in Facebook groups and stuff, like, it's so nice when you get to that market where everyone's prepared, especially for you guys selling ball pythons. Like, you know that the people selling them know if they're spending like $500 at this point on a ball python, they know how to take care of one.
Mhm.
For me, it's like I'm still messing with aquariums and stuff like that, but I don't mind that at all. It's something that comes along with having the lower end animals. But what do you guys, as far as your market goes, are you just selling animals at like the investor level, or do you sell pet animals as well?
Right now I'm kind of hitting everything. You know, we just depending on the clutch. Like my genetics are not so advanced to where I'm hitting like everything high end. We'll hit a range of some investor snakes, some mid range, some low range. I mean, I wholesale some normals to local pet shops for like $10 a piece. You know, all the way up to the investor level. So we're kind of hitting everything. And it's very encouraging to see the turnout for that mid range to low range. It really you know, as an operator of a page that's getting so much interaction, the curtain has been peeled back to me to let me know that there are so many people that are new to this hobby that are willing to invest, you know, 1, 2, 3K and expand, you know, on there. And, you know, and their stories range from, you know, they just want pets, they want a side income, they want to expand their hobby. So, you know, our goal is to provide, you know, world-class quality to those customers that want that, but it's wide open. And it's I don't think I don't think any of us can comprehend the amount of demand out there. It's staggering how many people are keeping these animals across all species in the reptile industry, and it's only going to get better. And that is simply because of social media. I mean, down to you know, prehistoric pets, Brian Barczyk, my page, everybody's page, and that's where we can all come together collectively, where all of our pages are reaching new people every single week and bringing new people to the hobby, to where it's not a competition, to where the amount of people I'm reaching is helping your business. People you're reaching is helping my business. So it's win-win, and we're all pushing for the better good, and it's not a competition, and we can all win together. And I really think that's what our hobby is transitioning to as a whole, is to where, you know, where technology is helping us reach our customer base more and more and more and more. And it, to me, it's just abundance. That's the frame I'm coming from, is abundance.
Yeah, I think you have to, or else you can hear what everyone else is saying about the market, about this up and down, up and down. But guess what? Everyone's been saying that, if you've been around, everyone's been saying that for 15 years. Everyone's been saying everything's crashing. So, and everyone gets out. And then what happens when everyone gets out? Then there's less supply and there's high demand. And then it goes back up again. And now everyone's happy again. And now the ball python market, everyone says everything's great. And then another 5 years, there'll be a negative Nancy that gets out there and then convinces everyone that it's bad. So really, it's like just sticking in there.
Right. I think it's so spread out at this point on across the, you know, the interwebs and everybody's pages. If there was a crash, I don't think it would reach everybody at large. I just don't. I think it's so spread out, and that so many people are in their own little world that they simply would not know if there was a crash, and that the market would continue to go on. I think we're past that. I don't think we need other breeders to buy our animals. I think that to me, the end consumer is someone that's just collecting as a hobby. I don't. My target audience is not breeders. It just is not. It's people that want beautiful animals, and I love that we're in that territory now. Because I don't care if a breeder buys from me ever. I don't care if a breeder judges me. I'm selling to consumers. I'm selling to people that want beautiful animals to display. Period.
And like you were asking, do you sell to someone that wants a pet? Yes, 100%.
That is my main consumer. I'm selling to people that want beautiful display animals and not breeders.
I'm sure your market is a little bit like ours off of Instagram and YouTube. You're probably are you getting younger people into the animals? And
it's a mix of everything. A lot of younger people. But yeah, primarily, I mean, I'm not a front runner in any project at all. I'm just not. And I'm selling to a lot of people that just want beautiful animals, or maybe they're just, starting a little small hobby.
Right.
That's our consumer.
I think that's a testament to getting your advertising out there, that it may not be the fact that you have the new hottest project, but that people know who the hell you are and people want to buy from you.
Agreed, for sure.
Right.
Because there's too many breeders out there being quiet.
A little different subject. And I hope I'm pronouncing this right, but someone asked in the chat if either of you, well, really you, Chris, because I think it's a ball python thing, if you know about the
Arroyo.
There you go. I was going to say Arios, and that's so messed up, but that gene.
How do you spell that?
Arroyos.
I'm pretty sure it was brought in by Brant Rustich of Major League Reptiles back in the day when he had a business, but I wonder if Chris knows.
This guy thinks was by Dan Wild.
Oh.
And
I think Dan Morph was breeding the Arroyo gene. Arroyo? Is that how you pronounce that? Arroyo? And that's another thing within the hobby. I mean, I don't know if it's a poor subject, but the way Dan Wolf managed those projects, Blitz, Arroyo, he just kind of dipped out and shit on a lot of those projects. So, and they were auctioned off or sold at wholesale prices, and a lot of people did not support those projects and dip on them. I personally don't own any of them. I try to, stay away from projects with that type of drama. I stay mainstream stuff that is, in demand. I only produce animals that will sell if the market crashes. That's my punchline. I know I've said punchline a lot tonight, but the punchline is I will produce animals that will survive whether or not there's a breeder market or not, period. Come see me if you want showcase animals, whether you're a breeder or not. It doesn't matter. I don't need breeder support as far as there being like a breeder market. Like my end customer is someone that wants a display animal that's beautiful, that pops, that's gorgeous, that has a passion for the hobby, and they're not in it to breed it.
Yeah, I think it was a real big distinction when that kind of stuff started coming out, because we started seeing subtle differences, and these subtle morphs are going for 25,000 when you could have bought an albino for 500 and it would have stayed steady for 5 more years. You would have made just as well, just as good as an investment. But now you have a fucking Arroyo single gene going for $100.
I think that's kind of what he was bringing up. Some people in the chat were saying Arroyo gene is just het for Rio. But then the guy brought up, he said there's a clear change in the Arroyo bumblebee, if you know what that is. And then the last thing he says is, oh shit, where did it go? He said, what I want to know is what are the key attributes to tell the Arroyo from a normal? The world of ball python shows the young look of it, but his are grown and his have a lot more of a normal look.
Yeah, it's not a gene. I really try not to speak on projects I'm not involved in. And I try not to talk bad on projects that I'm not involved in. So I don't have any of those genetics, so I can't really speak to it.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Sorry, dude, who's asked about that.
Really good questions,
And then some people are saying it's a codom gene. Someone said super is Rio. I don't know. It seems like there's a lot of different thoughts.
Wait, can I give genetics to the ball python community?
Oh, Lord. I don't know.
There's no such thing as a codom. So a codom would mean that you take a black snake, you breed it to a white snake, and you get a gray snake. But nothing acts like a codom. They're actually incomplete dominant. That's what gives you the 1 in 4 chance when you breed them. So there is no codom that works specifically like a codom. So
No.
it's incomplete dominant. Just
nothing actually mixes the two
school
colors.
breeders. Yeah, the old school breeders did that and messed us all up on
They
it.
brainwash us all.
Yeah.
You're
And
always
now it's
being
like,
brainwashed.
it's hard to get out of it at this point. It's just everywhere.
I'll DM you about that. We'll myself.
We got the big guns. Well, I'll go to the grave about the incomplete dominant co-dominant thing. There's certain things, hard lines I hold.
Yay.
For no reason. But as far as your projects go, it seems like you lean more towards recessives anyway in comparison to incomplete dominants or co-doms.
Yeah, we definitely veer towards recessives. I mean, they're just harder to make, and the beautiful thing is you can add codoms, or I know we're not calling them codoms now, but you can add those into the recessives and get the best of both worlds. So I love clown and I love pied. That's the backbone of our collection is clown and pied with codoms mixed in.
Yeah. You know what does seem to act like a codom though would be spider and blackhead, because you put them together and they create a normal. So the spider is going to be lacking in melanin, and then the blackhead is going to be increased melanin. You put them together, it makes a normal ball python or somewhere in between normal melanin. So
I didn't know that.
Kind of acts like that.
That's interesting.
But yeah, that's just we had Dr. Travis Wyman. He breeds ball pythons, but he's also a PhD in genetics, and we kind of went through all the weird little genetics things in the hobby.
I feel like we need to be like a sponsor for him. We bring him up
we
almost every episode just because we get into talking about genetics, and like he was the only guy like we had.
And now I'm not smart, but he is. So
and we can use his words and sound smart.
Yeah, that's true. He uses big words.
That was one of our most eye-opening podcasts. I mean, we've had eye-opening, but like in a different way, in a scientific way, I guess to say.
So as you guys go along your journey in the podcasting, when do you think you'll have a podcast out? And as far as the if people want to ask questions or anything like that?
I'm right now projecting the last Monday of February. So I think that's the 26th. That's my goal. I mean, and I'm trying to have several podcasts in my pocket to where I can, not do podcasts every week after the launch and still have, be able to deliver weekly. But yeah, that's the goal. So I think it's February 26th. I'll have to check on my phone when the last month, basically the last Monday of the month. That's my goal. And I want to incorporate video. It's just, it's a lot to learn. I mean, it's like podcasts sound easy, but they're really not. I mean, you got to get the RSS feed, which I know. And by the way, thank you for answering all my questions that I have and asked you and you helped me with. I really appreciate that, Joe.
Of course.
For sure. And you can make it as simple as you want and as complicated as you want. And I guess I chose the route to make it as complicated as it can be, just with my soundboard and all this.
Yeah, but you're so much more high tech than us. Like I wish we could be where you are already.
But we haven't launched yet, and I just want to have fun with it and something that's sustainable. And then I want to venture off into YouTube. YouTube has been our biggest miss. I feel like we've got Instagram down, we've got Facebook down, Snapchat down. Instagram stories has been a big focus for me. I feel like Instagram stories is right now the most underpriced attention. I'm getting about 2,000 opens per story. And it's incredible to think that anytime I want to snap a story, I can get 2,000 views like that. And to me, in my brain, it's like I put a YouTube video out and I'm getting like 500 views maybe. So I just don't have as much motivation.
Well, you got to feed the monster.
You got to feed the monster 100%. So, I want to put my podcast out on YouTube and incorporate videos and edit in the jump cuts, manually, unfortunately, with me and Pops and who we're interviewing. It's just been a long journey and there's no rush to it. It's okay.
Right.
If it's 2019, 2020, when I'm firing on all cylinders, that's okay. I'm not going to beat myself up on it. And I think that's key for anybody that's listening that wants to start out. Don't beat yourself up and just do. Just do. That's the answer.
Yeah, and I'm messing with you saying that you got to get it out and stuff like that. But think about when I told you that I was thinking about putting out a podcast, and I asked Sean Bradley to work his table in 2014. So it obviously took me 4 years to get up the fucking guts to do this, or 3 years rather.
Have you been on Sean's podcast?
No, I haven't.
Have you hit him up for it?
No, just because he doesn't really put out podcasts anymore. I mean, I don't want to get into that, but
we'll talk about that after the show.
And I also breed corn snakes, so it's just not within.
I get that, it's bullshit, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I just want, like, I feel like our lives have gotten so much better just from talking into a stupid microphone, even though this doesn't get our best numbers. Like, by far, the other social medias and stuff get bigger, but this gets a little bit deeper and it gets us to meet people. So, like, I want to spread that to everyone. I want everyone to have that experience.
For sure.
And like I said earlier, how we like bring up the Travis Wyman thing. I like the fact that we get to like reference something to people. Like when we had that dad and daughter come to our house the other day, like we even got into genetics and was like, hey, if you want to know more, check out this Travis Wyman podcast. And if we end up meeting a ball python person, we're like, hey, check out this Curseercy pod. Like,
yeah, how many people ask me for ball pythons?
I know. But if it just
I'm saying a lot.
I like that was a weird reaction. Yes, actually a lot of people, and we have to be like, no, we don't keep any. But like it's nice to have your videos that you put on YouTube are totally educational and totally great. But it's nice to be able to tell people like, hey, go listen to this raw, real conversation we had about all the nitty gritty stuff of this, or like go watch this podcast about gray bands. Go watch this podcast, about corn snakes with Sarah.
Well, and I'll mention how I leverage the podcast. So if Chris, like I know people probably hit you up asking you for all kinds of snakes. So my buddy Gustavo's like he bought a snake for me, and then he's like, hey man, I'm really thinking about gray banded king snakes, and I'm like, well, I know this guy Stu Tennyson, who I met a few times, seems like a good dude. He contacted Stu. He bought a snake. Stu thanked me. And then I asked Stu on the podcast, which I had enough, built up to where Stu would be like, okay, yeah, I should do the podcast for this guy, and got him on the podcast, even though I don't deserve to have people on a podcast. So that's really
okay.
That's really it. That's.
Okay. You know what else is really it?
What? This podcast?
We're at 2 hours. We're at 2 hours. We're at 2 hours. Over 2 hours.
So Chris, Chris and Pops, give out separately all your social medias that you're involved with.
So Instagram is kind of my go-to, but we also do Facebook. I love Facebook. Facebook is where we started in 2014. The algorithm changed on Facebook, so it just is not favorable over there anymore, but we still put content out on Facebook. I'm hoping to redo my approach to Facebook and hopefully revamp that. I love Snapchat as well. Ball Pythons 101, Ball Pythons _101 on Snapchat. Instagram stories. If you want to see my day-to-day life and me documenting what I do, definitely watch my stories. That's where it's at, as well as Snapchat. YouTube is on a come up. Maybe we'll do better on YouTube in 2018. And then obviously the podcast coming out, the Ball Pythons 101 show, hopefully later this month. And Pops.
Definitely IG, Instagram for me. Check out my stories. I do a lot of good information on stories. I like to give. I need to start giving more on the rats when it comes to breeding, so that you can feed your snakes, because the snakes gotta eat. But anyway, hey, watch me on Instagram, watch my stories. I don't do much on Facebook, maybe in the future, but hey, it's been real great information. Nice talking to you both tonight. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, it was really awesome meeting you guys. Please put that information out there, because there's people like me who are thinking about breeding rats in the future, but there's really not a voice for the breeding rats aspect.
Right.
So you want to give out all of our informations?
Sure. Same name across the board. YouTube, Port City Pythons. Instagram, Port City Pythons. Twitter, that we don't use really that much, but we're on Twitter, Port City Pythons. Facebook, Port City Pythons. And I'm going to do one more plug. Please tell your friends to go vote for the Reptile Reports It's not a contest. I don't know what you call it.
It's a
Okay, contest. Video show of the year. Go vote for Port City Pythons every day. You can do one entry a day. Tell all your friends. We have no chance of winning because we're up against some really awesome video show people like Dave Kaufman, who, by the way, is going to be at NRBC Arlington. I'm excited to hopefully meet him.
We're gonna vlog bomb him. So
we're gonna make him
vlog,
get on the
likes it or
vlog because
not.
Dave Kaufman is a cool person. But yeah, we're up against him and cool people. But it would just really be awesome if you guys go vote for us for video show of the year.
That's it.
That's it. Thanks for watching. Next week we will have on. Is it Jason?
I think it's Jason Brumley or Ian Bissell. I don't know. We'll figure it out. It will probably be green trees, no matter what.
Either
So
Ian
Chris
Bissell
will
or
be
Jason
listening.
Brumley. Yes. Thanks everyone for watching. A lot of people are saying great podcast. So thank you, Chris and Pops, for being on. And Joe's ending the podcast now. Press
You're
the
just
button.
rambling.
Okay.